Yeah, someone just posted the vestibular system on the chat here, a live stream. But the vestibular system doesn't detect motion. That was something I was taught growing up, that it detects motion. It doesn't. It detects acceleration. Big difference. And we are able to detect acceleration pretty easily. We're not very good at detecting velocity. All we can do with velocity is measure that relative motion with respect to something else.
Oh, yeah.
Well then, doofus Danny, the dipshit astronomer, since the Earth in your ball-tart spinning space monkey religion is rotating, hence has an angular velocity, ergo the Earth is constantly accelerating, and
we are able to detect acceleration pretty easily.
Can you please explain to us why we can't detect it easily? Por favor?
You are so dumb. Damn.
And we're off. As usual, if you'd like to support this channel, there are PayPal and Patreon links in the info box below. So head on over to Discord and see if Betty. What
the heck?
Betty.
What's that all about? What is it all about?
I tried to do it real fast, but it just wouldn't work. Let me try it again. Betty.
Unbelievable. Unbelievable. But you come up.
How'd you get back so fast? I was in the middle of a story and you rudely interrupted me.
Really? Yeah, you were sort of like an interruptus on the story. Really interesting. What? Yeah, exactly. What?
Can I finish it? It'll take 15 seconds. So, Betty, I made the turn. I made the turn and I went in the grass. Like everything is on the grass there. So as I'm driving, the guy starts walking towards the car. So I stopped and I opened the window. He said, "Don't you ever drive on my grass again, you dumb mother." Beep, 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 beep. I was like, "Excuse me? There's cars all over the grass." So then he started saying some other thing, and I stopped. I rolled the window up, and then I rolled it down again because he was still screaming at me. I said, "Listen, before I get out of this vehicle and really put a nice whooping on your ass, you better back away from my vehicle because you're spitting, you're chewing tobacco all over my car." And then I just peeled off.
So wait a second. Let me get this straight. Let me get this straight. You're gonna continue a halfway story in the beginning of my show?
Yes. But you should have said
Should
that
I go
line.
back to the
Are
beginning?
you high?
Yes, right now.
See, that's what that guy was insinuating to me by driving on his grass, and I almost had to whoop his ass.
You should have said, "Bless your little heart."
Neil, you should have. I'm telling you.
Yep.
You kill him with kindness.
I didn't know.
Yeah, you kill him with kindness, man.
They just
Yes.
continue, folks. I'm gonna freaking do one of those maneuvers.
Julie, I was just telling him about a quick story. I was on a delivery.
Shut
up! All right, fine. I'm done.
He stopped being quick about 5 minutes ago. Evening, by the way.
Evening.
Oh, there he is. Hey, leave Adam alone. Adam was freaking perfect yesterday. I got no complaints. Everything he said was perfect. I got to learn how to speak like Adam.
Perfect.
So,
And
wait a
drop
minute.
your H's. That's what we
We
got to
have
do.
like a presentation from Brian, and he's not even here. How can we fix that?
I think he might be scrambling because I sent him a message. Hey, you got a minute? He was like, "No, I really don't." And I realized he's got a presentation. So I think he's scrambling to get it together. But Brian will have it.
shit is that?
Yeah, well, that's the shit that people get together for flat Earth presentations.
Nothing for you.
Alrighty then. QE killed the conversation.
Shut up!
Not good to kill the
What an-
conversation on your own show.
That's
Shut
true.
up!
Well, just leave him be. It must be in a like very nasty situation.
I'm your huckleberry.
No, you're not. Don't come into my league, even.
Baby, come back.
I'm back, bitches!
Nathan said that we may begin. Thank you, Nathan.
Hey,
It can only
he's in-
begin when QE starts acting normal and
They don't play in Italy, right?
funny business.
He's in a sort of a difficult situation there.
Who is?
Nathan with his electrical issue. See, I was wondering the whole time, since he's renting, and I know it's it's probably 180-degree difference from here and over there, but isn't that a
He's not renting.
landlord issue?
No, I asked him the same thing. He's not renting. He pays a mortgage. He owns that apartment.
Oh,
It's like a condo here.
Gotcha. Thanks. That makes a little bit more sense. Yeah, we got it, Nathan. Yeah, I got it now. Yeah, I was wondering about that because that's usually a landlord type of apartment owner type of thing. But okay, I got you now. Yeah, that sucks, man.
That shitty wiring's all his.
Yeah, that's not a good thing.
Yeah, that sucks.
You should maintain that then, huh? If you own the place.
Well, if you got 1940s wiring, then you run into some problems.
Yeah.
I have a friend that's really good at electrical work. I'm sorry that you're so far across the pond, Nathan. Or I could probably get you some help.
So, was there a 10-hour show yesterday? I had to bump out. Hello?
Let's put it this way. There was no more cries for 4 more hours when Nathan decided to round out.
10
I think it was
hours.
midnight we finished, didn't we?
What did you guys talk about for 10 hours?
You.
Well, what
That's why
else?
it was 10 hours.
Great honor, right?
Well, what else would there be to talk about?
Exactly. See. So totally.
Well, what else would last 10 hours?
We talked about Nazis in Antarctica. That's why I posted that video. Not
Tell you
for
what.
you to.
Tell you what, all right, just stop right there. You owe me an hour and 7 minutes and 20 seconds.
Be on the bill.
Yeah, I'm going to give you the bill for that. Nathan's in here. What's up, man?
Hello. Well, I can join on my iPad, so I don't know. My sound will be probably rubbish. But
No, sounds
nice
great.
to. We were talking about yesterday's show, and it's like you're all doom and gloom. Shouldn't he maintain that? Yeah, thanks, Betty.
I knew that would draw you in.
It wasn't that drew me in. It was more the fact that QE started talking about, didn't I do a 9-hour show? Yeah, I did a 10-hour show because that's like my relief. It was like having a holiday from a nightmare. So it brings a smile to my face just talking about doing the show because I love doing the show. And you know, Neil's sentiment, he sums it up when he's like, I miss the show. Yeah, so do I. I really miss doing the show. So, you know, I kind of maybe overcompensated a little bit and just stayed live. I'm like, I'm really enjoying this. I don't want to shut it down. My computer's finally working. I'm not constantly worried it's going to crash. The electric might turn off. But as we're running, it's like being in an airplane. You know, you do all the faff to get it going and get it in the air, and then you just cruise for 6 hours on a long-haul flight. But you're just drinking cups of tea and monitoring the autopilot. There's very little to do. It's a bit like that when, like you now, you've done all the work to get this show going, so I can just ad hoc join and start moaning about my electricity, which is great. Anyway, that was it. Yeah, the show was done because I love doing the show, and I'm so glad I did that. It was a big risk because there's no surge protection in the shite that the Cowboys left us with, and I'm glad I did it, but I shouldn't have, because it could have taken out a computer that's just been fixed. So it was a risk I was willing to take, and I'm glad I did it. I really enjoyed doing that show. I may even release it to the public eventually, because it was 10 hours of constant. There's probably 10 minutes of dead air in that entire 10 hours tops.
Wow.
But you had to have Neil in there for that then.
We had all sorts of people come by.
Didn't you do that in the past? That there were longer like shows and many people could come in at a certain time frame?
I did a 24-hour sun tracking once, so I literally had to stay up for 24 hours solid to monitor live streams. And I did have, at the time, other people who had literally assigned, or I had to assign to the channel, so that they could control the launching of live streams when I anticipated needing to go to bed. And that was called Tracking the Sun on a Flat Earth Live, and it's probably 10 years ago, that is. One of the people who was designated as a channel administrator was Bob Nodell. So he ran one of the sun tracking events very early on. And like I say, I had to literally give him the keys to my channel for him to be able to do that, as I did with several other people, Patricia Steer included. But I just didn't go to bed. So although I had all the procedures or whatever in place so that people like Bob could just take over my channel if I needed to fall asleep in that 24 hours, as it turned out, I didn't. I just stayed up the entire time from sunrise to sunrise and filmed both, at the beginning and at the end, 24 hours later. Do you want to know this? Do you want to know the sum, as it's come up? Do you want to know the sum total of what we learned? We did it twice, and we got the same result both times, but from different locations. Do you want to know the sum? All we learned, other than the azimuthal equidistant projection in the form of the Gleason's map, is a pretty good sun map. It was out by an hour, twice. So on both occasions, there was somebody who came along that was showing us their solar noon. No, actually, it was only on the second. It was twice on the second time we did it, not on one on each. But someone would hold up on one. I can't remember the second, but I can certainly remember the first time it happened, which was someone lifted up a plant pot to show that they were at 12 noon. It was definitely at their zenith, and where they were, it was somewhere near the equator, and it was directly above them at 12 noon, and where they were supposed to be, it was an hour ahead or an hour behind. I forget which. It's a long time ago, but it was out by an hour, and then it happened again on the same sun tracking event. So you could show where there was some gerrymandering going on with the what would it be? It would be the latitude lines, wouldn't it? Would it be? No, I don't know. There's some gerrymandering going on with the time zones in terms of where they're assigning it, and it wasn't like it was sat outside of a daylight savings time or something. It was just wrong, flat out wrong. I think Adam was there as well. Were you there, Adam? Is he even here?
Yes.
He was here.
He was. He was just here.
Just got out of here. These boots scooted out of here.
There's sometimes for me, when I go to unmute, it'll kick me out. That might have just happened to him because he was addressed and then left.
Now he's back.
now.
I went to unmute and pressed the mouse
Yeah.
on the floor, dropped out.
Flatsy just gave us the story.
Would you like me to go through the story again? It was a really nice story. So
I heard
when you go
Go ahead, Adam. Were you there, Adam?
I didn't take part, but I watched it all. It was one of those days where this was the point where I was starting to interact with people. So I remember doing that, yeah. And the thing I always remember, it didn't match up. It didn't match up. Antonio Subarats did a lot of work on that, didn't he, as well, which privy to a bit of it.
When you say it didn't match from what to what?
The time and date.
Yes.
So time and date was off by an hour.
You compared to the Gleasons, when you actually got the Gleasons and show where the position of the land below is supposed to be at solar noon, was off compared to time and date on two occasions by 1 hour.
That's a problem.
Yeah, I mean it's pertinent because we've got the Time Bandits thing coming up, and that's going to be. I think that might get incorporated. It might not. It might be. I hope it. That's never developed into anything useful beyond me making these statements that I'm making now. That's why I was like, do you want to hear the sum total of what we learned? I mean, there was other useful and exciting stuff. Like one guy joined and showed us the 24-hour sun. So don't get me wrong, he didn't stay on the line for 24 hours, but he kept popping up throughout the event to show the sun was still above the horizon for him at all times, and that was cool. You know, there's things like that kept happening, along with getting porn bombed and various other things. That
and he was in the Arctic.
No, he was in the north. Yeah, he wasn't. I don't know exactly where it was. I can't remember. It was 10 years ago. But
right.
You know, the bits like that just stick in my mind. The guy who was showing us the 24-hour sun periodically throughout the event. Again, I think that was on the second one, and I think the second one from memory was far more fruitful. But the first one was better organised, or something like that. I can't remember. There was problems with both of them, and I think the second one was getting porn bombed more often. I don't know. I can't remember. In any event, yeah.
Well,
so that was that.
Well,
just the only other thing to strap onto that. Just sorry to cut you off. It's going to be the last thing. The other person who joined that event to track the sun and give us his sunrise, sunset, solar, noon was Charles Flat Earth Math. He joined that event.
Astonishing. Well, in late 2028, we'll get the Time Bandits, and maybe something will come out and make that fruitful.
2028. He's bloody hopeful, isn't he?
Yeah, I know. Jesus is going to come back first.
That's the plan. I might need his help just to finish it.
Can I just do it? Can I use your platform to do a shout out just because I can't do one on my own?
Yes.
So it looks like I'm not going to need to do a GoFundMe campaign. So I'm in a situation where I'm hard up and in need of support from subscribers and members and such. And because of people giving me $20, $30, $70, someone gave me a large chunk. I'm, well on my way to covering the cost of this. In other words, I'm going to be able to afford to pay for this because of people giving me drips and drabs of support. And I say drips and drabs. I'm not demeaning people who give me $30. That's a lot of money to me. But there's a lot of people who've done that, and I would estimate that probably by this time tomorrow, I'll be like, yeah, I've actually covered the cost of this now because so many people have supported me just without having to run a campaign, it's a testament to when I say, oh, the people in the community are the reason I do this, and it's not the ad revenue that keeps me going and keeps the lights on. In this case, more literally than ever, it's the people who watch the show that are keen to keep what we're doing, no matter how heavily it's censored, going out on a daily basis. And they're the people who, in this case, as I say, most literally are keeping the lights on. So like I say, there's a good chance that people through pure PayPal and what's the other one, Coffee Link, are just going to give me enough cash to be able to actually cover this in spite of losing 300 quid to some cowboy. So I am absolutely made up and a little bit overwhelmed. And I've said that to the people who've contributed when I've replied, which is when these things happen, it's a little bit overwhelming. One of the donations, the guy was telling me about his 5 kids, and he was like, yeah, we've had power cuts and I can't imagine being like the way you are for 10 days. Here's a wedge. And it brought me to tears. You're just looking at it going, quite believe this is happening. I'm contemplating whether or not to run a GoFundMe, and then somebody gives you money and another person gives you money, and you're like, this is creeping up to actually cover the costs of this. Astonishing. But I just wanted to give thanks. That was it. And thanks to the Lord, thanks to the people, moreover, that have actually given me money, because it's pain relief, because it is a painful situation, and to get that kind of support it just backs up what I've said in the last few
people
weeks.
care about you, Nathan. People care about you on the show.
Yeah, and it shows. It really shows.
Yeah,
so,
but
thank you, all of you. Thank you.
What's the status? Are you going to get it fixed? Is it going to cover?
I'd already committed to it without a dime in my pocket. That's a lie. I had 300 quid in my pocket because that was half of what I'd agreed to pay the guy, and I'd sold a load of PC parts that were all broken. Some have started to come back, but I'd robbed Peter to pay Paul, and I've got that money. Anyway, so what was your question? What's the status?
Yeah.
I, with about 300 quid in cash, just committed on the spot to an 800 quid minimum bill to 2 electricians after 5 in total have been out, including the cowboy. And I mean, I made a video log about this for members. If you want to check it out and you're one of my members, just check it out. I won't reiterate it here. It's about 10 minutes long. But yeah, they were telling me the horrifying situation of what I've actually ended up with when I'm telling them, oh, you'll just have to finish this off. It's a job that's nearly done. And they're like, no, this is lethal. This is lethal. This needs completely tearing out, starting again. I'm like, holy shit. And 4 independent, well, 2 are together. So technically 3 independent companies all said the same thing. 2 of them knew each other. So they arrived at the same time. I'm like, oh, I might as well just confess I've called all our electricians because I just want this resolved. So you might bump into another Sparky while you're here. And he did. But they'd work together and bash work off each other and stuff. And they were like all buddy-buddy, but without telling me. So I'm, oh, this is awkward. And after about 10 minutes, like, we know each other. We've worked. He throws me work when he needs more bodies and vice versa. I'm like, oh. Whew. So they're assessing it together and just pointing out that there was, I'll just give one instance. There's this, what they called a bus bar. And it's like shiny copper. And it's a long, 3-4 inch long bit of metal. And it's right at the bottom, really accessible once you lift this flap. And he went, that should have a cover on it. I wonder where the cover is. And they're looking around. And I was like, well, what is it? Is it just a ground or something? He's like, no, that's live. I went, what? He went, yeah, that's live. This bar here? And he's like, yeah, that's live. I was like, you're fucking joking. It's lethal then. He went, yeah. I says, will this last for the 2 weeks till you can squeeze me in your schedule? This is the second guy that had been joking with the first. And he's like, I wouldn't be surprised if it pops in the next 3 minutes.
Jesus.
I was like, oh, great. And that was the last thing I said to the guy after I'd committed to this 800 quid bill. So I hadn't got, that was my point in my story. I've got 300 quid in my wallet in cash, and I've got a guy saying it's going to cost a minimum for the first day to get it to the point where it's at least safe. 800 quid, 2 bods will come round. He took me through every bit of work and how long he estimated it, how much the new board to replace the new board would be. And I was like, okay, fine, yes, I'll commit to that now. Shook his hand and he walked out. At that point, I got, other than the 300 quid in my wallet, a pot to piss in. But instantly, I'd committed to doing the work and then thought, I think I'll just pray maybe. Because I don't know where I'm going to get that money from. And like I say, lots of people have given me, here's 30 quid, here's 20 quid, here's 70 quid. And you're like, oh, thank you. And it just becomes a bit overwhelming. And like I say, before you know it, I'm edging my way up to actually being able to cover, at the very least, the first day of the work tomorrow. When I committed to it, I definitely couldn't. So like I say, that's just one of those things. I knew I had to get it done, and I said yes, knowing I hadn't got money to pay. And now I'm getting close to actually being able to cover it, thanks to my supporters. So that's just, I'm telling you all this because I'm sure it's heartwarming to everybody. As much as it's me that's experiencing it, I'm sure everybody who watches this has a degree of empathy that they can hear the joy in my voice over this and just have it raise the hairs on their arm a little bit or on the back of their neck a little bit and go, yeah, that is the community that we actually live in or take part in, and go, yeah, this is ace. I'm glad you shared it. Oh, I hope so. Anyway, there we go.
So when do you expect to be 100%?
Tomorrow. I expect by tomorrow evening, the 2 bods that will work their way through, they've never even told me what they will get to. They'll get to a point where if any of the circuits fail, because they're 1970 circuits, they won't be turned on, but they will be penciled in for the 2 weeks. Because they've rescheduled their whole stuff to get it in to do it immediately because they appreciated there's 2 kids here cold and unwashed and unable to eat. So they were like, we'll have to shuffle things around. They did, but they're like, but to polish off and get circuits that fail back working might be next week or the week after or even 3 weeks from now. But at the end of tomorrow, all the circuits that are in and on will be working as they should. And if there is circuits that don't work, they will have to be addressed at a later date. Right. In other words, he was very clear about what I'd get. But if at this point, even though I've got lights on and power as we speak, obviously my Wi-Fi router's working and I'm talking to you on my iPad, I don't trust it one bit. So I won't even put the wire in, the power wire into my computer. I'm just, or the amps or anything that's valuable.
Right.
You know, I'm half tempted to disconnect the fridge. And I have when it popped at midnight. So it's one of those that until he's got left tomorrow, I'm going, yeah, that circuit for the lounge is absolutely fine. It's like, right, I'm going to do live shows immediately. But until that point, I don't trust that something might go wrong and cause the computer to die. And I just don't want to do that. So I'm glad I did my 10 hours yesterday, though. It was damn well worth the risk. I needed it to cheer me up.
You got some proper tradesmen then, mate, that don't leave families in the crap today.
Yeah, I watched him do it. He
Brilliant.
stood in front of me while he called his partner, got his diary out, showed me all the work, phoned the customers in front of me while he was in the hallway, and rearranged with his other 2 guys or 3 guys. He kept calling them 2.5 because he's got an apprentice. But it was like these other 2 guys. I'm getting the 1.5 guys. You know what I mean? For the cheapest rate, so he can get it boshed in at his convenience.
Yeah, he's shuffled. This was the point with the other guy, wasn't he? He shuffled this, and like we said, you don't leave families like that. That's a shyster tradesman if he ever left kids. And you've seen what real men have done today. Yeah, they can't do it all in one go, but they've made sure the kids are all right.
Yeah. Well, when the first guy got here, he started assessing it, and the second guy turns up. These are the 2 that were japing because it was a bit awkward, but they knew each other. I could tell by the way they were assessing it together which one of us is going to get this guy sorted because he needs it doing immediately. And I could see by the way that, in nods go back and forth. And there was a point that I didn't know where they'd decided, you'll be doing this, Ben. I'll be walking away in 5 minutes. And I picked up on it eventually and went, I'm guessing you want to, step away at this point, don't you, Sam? Oh, yes, definitely. And, Scarpers, because he's got obviously better things to do, leaving me waiting for this man's partner who 2 minutes later turns up, and he's his board expert who gives his second opinion and works out what will cost, and he's not that interested in what it's going to cost because he's not charging me, the other guy is. It's all very, very efficient. But the ultimate concern is, you mean to say you haven't got heat for these 2 kids? Well, this is going to get done by fair means or foul, as opposed to, might be there tomorrow at 9. For my guy who's already halfway through the job. So yeah, it's good. It's nice to see real men doing the work that I'm incapable of doing, and I know damn well I'm not, and I wouldn't attempt it. Actually taking it seriously. So I'm pleased. And if it's cost me and my wife 300 quid, it's not the end of the world. Lesson learned: when you've got cowboy money, you get cowboys. There we go. Such is life. That was it. I might disappear, just in case the power does go, by the way. And if I do, I just wanted to come on to say a thank you to all the people who've supported me thus far. It really has helped out in a massive way of alleviating the stress of not having the money to pay for something you've literally committed to an hour earlier. So there we go. Thank you for having me on to do that if I do disappear, but I've said my piece and I'm thanking you for it now.
Yes, sir.
So, Nathan, did you basically pray to God, or did you just not need to?
I frequently have thoughts. I don't know if you have an internal dialogue, Betty.
Mhm.
Do you have
Yeah.
internal dialogue?
I have a dialogue with God too. Yeah.
Well, no. Sometimes what I call my internal dialogue, I will introspectively turn towards God. That is to say, I'm having a discussion with myself, and then I will glance up while I'm having that conversation with myself. Now, you can call that, who's
Betty.
speaking back?
Betty,
Yeah.
go on mute while he's talking.
Yeah.
Betty's speakers in the background. I turn what I've thought and had an introspective discussion with myself towards the heavens. I'm not going to lie. Yes. But you would just, obviously, you already have described that as you directly talking to God or having the, outpouring towards God. I see it as an internal dialogue, and I've gone and glanced up towards the heavens, so to speak. So, yeah, and no, if you will.
Okay. Yeah, because you mentioned it swiftly, and I thought, did you or didn't you? So I thought, okay, that might be a good thing, right? Because
I do it all the time.
Yeah.
Since well, probably because of Quantum Eraser, I might as well just give credit where it's due. There is no doubt in my mind that there is a creator. Now, that's a powerful statement that is not to be taken lightly. Something else that sets the hairs on the back of my arm up. And I don't take it lightly. It's not just when there's bad things going on that I'll glance up. You know, it doesn't matter if I'm spotting a twinkle in my daughter's eye while she's smiling about some food that she's got all over her face. I'll glance up at the heavens, I assure you.
Oh, it's not to judge you, Nathan. It's just that I wanted to see or to know that thought because you were speaking about it, and I thought, okay, let's hear if you did do that prayer because it would make sense that God would like respond to that for me at least because I once did that and said basically the shortest prayer to God, and it's God help, right? And within a year, my all the businesses, all the things that I was like dealing with, sort of went away. Right? It took a year, of course, but I got a house because I broke with my ex. Right? Got a house. My dogs could be taken care of when I was at work. I got more work to do so that I get more income, and all these things wouldn't. Oh, that's basically a miracle to be within 1 year would be accomplished. So just for the next time, why don't you address who need to be addressed? Right? Call him God.
Yeah,
But
Have
that's what I
that
did.
dialogue with God.
I was just gonna say it's my duty to
Bloody
test.
prayed. I heard Nathan say I prayed.
Why did you
So
bust in on Flatsy in the middle of her sentence?
It may be a
because she
lag.
came in. Go ahead, Flatsy. I didn't hear you.
It's okay. It was probably a lag. It's my duty to testify that when I have no worries and no anxiety, even when I'm going through something bad, and I pray to Jesus, I am blessed. I get blessed, and everything always works itself out. So I don't ever have to worry or be anxious, and neither do you.
Yes. Amen, sister.
It's still nerve-wracking, though.
You don't need to be. You need to trust on God. You have faith, don't you, Neil?
Yes, but we're still human. You can
No.
say what you want. The best prayer, I agree, is Peter, Lord save me. And that's the immediate prayer that gets immediate attention and immediate help. I
Betty
agree.
said.
But
Betty
kind
said
of us are
no.
very
I'm sorry. Betty said no. You're not human.
I said, no, you know, a new creature in God. That's what I'm trying to say, right? And when you're a believer, you get to be a new creature in God's eyes. You're a spiritual one, not a fleshly one. You don't need to doubt again. I know it's difficult, but faith is basically putting your trust in God, right? And not doubt.
I
I
completely agree.
agree. I'm
Someone
just
gave
saying,
me.
the human side justice.
Sorry.
Go ahead, Nathan, I'm done.
I was going to say someone told a joke about this that I'd not heard, and it's akin to you get your own dirt. So I'll do my best to give you a rendition, but it's the first time I've given this as a rendition. I only heard it yesterday. So someone explained that there's a guy, I think, we won't name a particular flood, but a tragedy has fallen in the area that this person lives in, and the area is flooded and filling up. Yeah. And he gets on his knees and he says, God help me, and knows that God's going to come. And while he's waiting in his first floor because the ground floor's all flooded, someone comes along wading through and says, come with me, I'll get you to safety. You need to leave. These waters are actually getting higher than this. There's no point staying in your house. The guy says, no, God will save me. And the guy goes, okay, and wanders his way along. Day goes by and the water's raised and the guy's on his roof, and a boat comes along trying to round up the last people like this guy who are still in their buildings, and says, come with me, I'll help you off the roof. We've got ladders on this boat, we can get you off that roof safely. And the guy says, no, God will save me. What? God will save me. So the boat moves along to the next person, rescues a few stragglers. Another day goes by and this guy's perched on his chimney, and a helicopter comes by looking for any last stragglers and lowers a rung ladder down to this guy and says with a megaphone, bullhorn, get on the ladder, you're going to die. And the guy says, no, God will save me. The helicopter battered away, and then the guy drowns and dies. Now he makes his way up to heaven, gets to the gates, runs straight past St. Peter, right up to God, says, what's going on? Why didn't you save me? I prayed and I'm dead. God says, I sent a guy with waders. I sent a guy with a boat. I sent a guy with a helicopter.
Yes, that's a beautiful story. I heard it before, and I use it
Hey,
often,
Nathan, you
to
put
be honest.
Nathan.
And wait a minute, Neil, wait.
Super chat.
But Nathan,
Superfly, everyone's waiting.
can I still make my point before we do the super chat?
Sure.
Go ahead.
Super chat.
So Nathan, what happened with you is basically the same thing, because God uses humans, right? So the one that gave you that beautiful gift of the money that you could use then, right? Don't you think that that might be God giving him the nudge to give you that?
No, I first and foremost acknowledge the person and thank them immediately. But as I've already said,
I would
my
thank
nod goes up and gives thanks. I give thanks to God because my despair isn't a formal prayer of God help me, but by the same token, it is. You know, when I'm acknowledging my situation and looking up to the heavens, you know, in my mind, I don't need to make a formal prayer with an omnipotent God. I don't see it that way, but I'm not structured in a Christian way.
Yeah, the thing is that you explain that story, right? And you understand basically the whole thing of the story. But you pass by that same thing happened to you, only you accepted the gift. But now you're not acknowledging that it's God. So you basically go
No,
your
I
way.
no.
am.
Hey,
That's exactly what I'm
PayPal
doing by
tells
telling the
you.
story. Am I not? I am acknowledging it's God. That is exactly what I'm doing.
Okay.
You're hearing me acknowledge it as God and give a joke that goes along with my acknowledgement of God, and you
Good.
say you're not acknowledging God.
No, I'm saying that the other way around it happened, right? Because if you don't acknowledge that that man that gives you money, for example, that you need for your whatever, right? That man might be driven by God to give you that. That's what I'm saying.
And yet
Or
you wouldn't
that
let the
might just
super
be a
chat
nice
come through.
person.
Let's
Wouldn't
just
it?
get the super chat. Let's acknowledge
It'll
that
be really
person.
quick. It'll be really
It's a
quick.
super
It's
retract.
yeah, but I knew what it said. Sorry, Roger Ledwell. I knew what it said, but he sent another. So super chat again.
Superconductor.
So Roger Ledwell, he sent Nathan Thomas or whatever.
All
Well, it's
right.
Thompson, but he I know what you mean, Roger Ledwell. You didn't have to resend, but we give thanks anyways.
Good.
Roger's one of the who supported me. Just to acknowledge Roger.
Okay.
Thank you, Roger.
Thank you, Roger. So go ahead, Adam.
Go
you
ahead.
wanted to get in there and then
Well,
let
Betty,
Hold on.
go.
Hold on.
Betty.
Not Betty. Adam. Evening. He wanted to get in there and you jumped all over him.
I just thought it was a bit mean. Somebody's really nice, and God gets the reward.
Thanks,
Yes,
Adam.
thanks for a lot of things.
Everything is done by God.
Yeah, but
He's
could it
not
be
got a
God moving
PayPal
your
account, as far as I'm aware. And
Oh, goodness gracious, people. Okay, Neil. I'm going to go to Neil. I'm going to just say Neil. Don't open your mic, right? I'm just going to say arbitrarily Neil, and it's Neil's time to go. Okay, so you can get your message out without jumping on or sacking everyone else. Okay, so Adam, are you finished?
I'll just make one comment, because he did it to Flatsy early, and Flatsy, it's a sign of love, you see. That's equality. Neil jumps over everybody.
That's not true. I'm not hearing anybody talk when I come in. This time I'm going to freaking say it. I'm not coming in if I'm hearing somebody. I'm not rude. I may be Italian, but I'm not rude.
Okay, right. I acknowledge what Betty was saying though, because I suspect, and maybe I'll start stuttering and stammering at this point, that Betty's correct. Right? She. What's the word? Women's intuition, right, Betty? You know, there's a missing acknowledgement. Without me having to say it, and in spite of what I have said, you still know there's something not quite right, not quite enough. And I'll give it you. Maybe we'll discuss this in private. But yeah, your intuition's not off. And I'll acknowledge what you're trying to get through to me with a furrowed brow of worry. Okay, just so it's been acknowledged.
You're a sweetheart, Nathan. You're good. You will get there eventually.
Send a cold shiver down my spine sometimes, Betty. Thank you for that.
Well, welcome to the friggin' party, pal. Welcome to the party, pal.
Thanks. Well, it might be the heater. I think it chills.
Might be the heater. Yeah, great. Good job, Betty.
Yeah, I am sort of having these morbid humor sometimes.
Yeah.
But I think it's
No.
appreciated sometimes, some of the times. But yes, okay. Well,
Okay.
I think the Nathan got the message, so that's good.
Yes, he did. Okay, Neil, do you have anything to add?
I have nothing to add.
Okay. Flatsy, do you have anything to add?
All peachy over here.
Brian's Logic, do you have anything to add?
Well, I have a cute presentation if you want it.
I think Betty wants that presentation like real bad.
Well, I like the Analemma thing. Where I really would like to see how people could sort of make something out of that.
Okay.
Except for a fact.
Can you
So, yeah.
can you spell it?
Nope. I would do it with 2 N's.
How about buoyancy?
Well, yeah, Beyonce. Beyonce and Wade.
Oh, this is another one like celibacy and Shirley Bassey. Not the same thing.
I did that to see if the QE was alive.
That is a damn lie.
Superchat.
Superchat, superfluid, superconductor, superfly, supernatural, supersonic.
Roger Ledwell. Maybe we'll get the bandits in the future. Yeah, we're thinking that Christ will return before then. But you know, all is well.
We're filming the
Oh,
bandits
Roger.
episode. We're filming the bandits episode last week, but technically speaking, because we'll go back to next week in 3 weeks' time, we haven't strictly made it yet. But in reality, it is actually already made. That presentation exists.
Next Sunday, 2 weeks from now.
Thanks, Brenda.
Thanks,
no,
Brenda.
Last Sunday, 2 weeks from now.
Well, you need the soundboard with that exact saying. Thanks, Brenda. It's super cool.
Yeah.
Super
I'll
cool.
just add 2 things. Maybe Roger, and I will not be rushed or pressured.
I shall not be part at.
I'd like to first thank God, but also Adam and Brian specifically for telling me to get onto a load of electricians, and whichever one's got the most, sincere concern for your situation will be the one that does the job. You're absolutely right when I ended up with 4 electricians here today. That was down to you guys, because you think, am I wrong to just keep phoning more electricians? I've got one on the way. And I just kept phoning them because you were like, no, I keep phoning everyone until one comes and does the job. They get the money.
Superchat.
Superfluid,
Yeah.
superconductor, supernatural, super salad, supercomputer.
Roger Ledwell just added into his previous one with time. He meant the time bandits in the future.
Yes.
So there you go, Roger.
Yes, we knew what he was talking about. That's why, yeah. Well, just wait till 2028. And then maybe.
Roger's typos are profitable.
There was a good bit in Nathan's show last night, which I probably outlined some of the issues I've got, where I'm heading. And we got onto
You got issues, Adam?
No.
not many,
All right.
but we'll roll with them. Last night, and it's worth watching, I think, because it'll cover a little bit of what we're looking at. We're looking at grids, overlaying, and what happened, what they changed, and all the variances they've put in these grids. It is more complicated, and I don't have the knowledge and confidence to make positive statements. I took a couple of glasses of wine just to air that. And I don't like airing things if I can't back them up, and at the moment I can't back them up. So
Sure.
So if you do listen to that show, it'll give you a good idea of what we're looking at with regards to how we used to do it, how we already had it, how we changed what we had, and how we got and disparaged lunatics. Bry was there as well. It was a really. I know it's 10 hours long, but he covered a lot of good stuff. I thought.
Good afternoon, it was actually very enjoyable.
It was very informative.
Oh, thank you for that, Mr. Russian guy down on the end.
What's up?
Make sure when you're not speaking that you're on mute because you're back feeding.
My bad.
But if you want to say something, that doesn't mean that you should be on mute the whole time. I just noticed it.
Oh, I can't backfeed. I'm on push to talk.
Oh, you can definitely backfeed.
I guarantee you won't catch it again.
Okay.
That aside, did you have something you wanted to actually answer?
Anyways, I'm sorry. No, I just wanted to say hello.
Oh,
I'm new to the server.
What are we going to call you, dude? Because I can't read Russian.
You can call me Gordost. You can call me Gopnik. You can call me Matosh. Whatever you call me, whatever you want.
Matosh.
The Russian guy. We're going to have to call
Did he
him.
say
No one will remember that.
I love that song, by the way.
Do that. Oi.
Superchat.
Superchat, superfluid, superconductor, superfluid, superintendent.
Only we can do that. You're not Russian.
It's Jado, or Jado, maybe. I don't know. Well, glad you found a proper professional, Nathan.
Yes.
Hell yeah.
Hell yeah. Yeah. Well, I got that song. I love that song. Got it from Red October. Hunt for Red October. When they were singing it in the sub.
We've decided on a name yet. Ordinarily, I know this may not be Russian etiquette, but ordinarily, if somebody asks me their name, I just give them one. I don't give a plethora of choices. Just give them one that I'd be happy with.
Matush.
Maybe you try this crazy Western tradition, huh?
Hello, a user named Mighty Mush invited me here.
So Mighty Mush.
Good
So he said
guy.
Matush. Matush.
Good evening, Matush.
Evening.
I'm from the 24/7 Flat Earth Discord.
Uh-oh. They're
I was gonna
suspect.
say 24th century.
Why?
What? 20? Adam was thought you said 24th century.
Were we now, it might not be true, but in that 24/7 Discord server, there's a lot of Russians. Might not be true.
Superchat.
I don't think so.
You're
There's a lot. I know there's a lot of Balkans.
Super
in there.
chat. Matush. Shush.
I'm not even
Supercharged,
Russian.
Supermarket. Super Bowl. Supersonic.
Roger Ledwell. To the moon, Adam.
Go ahead, Matush. Thanks, Roger.
All right. So what are we talking about in here?
Okay.
You got any debates going on?
You got to know the rules first, you Rusky. Whenever there's any super chats, you got to cease and desist immediately and then carry on your conversation after. That's the first rule. The second rule is see the first rule.
If you got the chance, by the way.
What is super chat?
Super chat, super fluid, supernatural, super tramp.
We are also live on the internet on YouTube, and in the side chat, people can make super chats. So that means that there's money being given to the owner of the YouTube channel, which is Quantum Eraser.
And I guess Quantum Eraser just talks about the super chat.
No, I announced the well, somebody announces it, I echo it, then Flatsy is in charge of saying who the super chat is from and the message.
And he
Just to be clear, this is not a show about super chat.
And he
We are
collects
actually.
money.
What side of the fence? If you come from 24/7, are you presumably there because you're debating about the nature of reality?
Oh no, I'm 100% sure it's flat, without a doubt.
How'd you know?
I went to school for math and physics, and I did not like what I was studying. It's basically all I was going in thinking I was studying reality, and I realized I was just studying like 95% pseudoscience, so I just left.
Shocking.
That's similar to me. I did A-level physics, realised it was a bit pseudosciencey, and then picked a pseudoscience in psychology. Replaced it.
You know, it's funny because one of my second-year physics professors in a theoretical mechanics course, he actually referred to gravity as a fictitious force.
Good lad.
And I never understood why until I left.
How old are you? Just out of interest.
28.
Well, that's interesting then. It's like you'd expect that from our teachers who are like 50. I mean, you get more honesty then. So for you to be getting that, or at least him telling you the truth.
Yeah, and what really opened my eyes was seeing stuff like the black swan, and that there is actually no measured curvature, like actually measured in an observation. Once I saw that, my whole mind just changed. Like, it's flat.
Interesting. Any? Do you guys got any other questions? Betty, do you have any questions for Matush?
QE. You know, in the flat Earth server, there was a glober that came in one time, and he was trying to prove the globe by using topology maps, saying that because mountains are at different elevations compared to each other, it proves that there's the curvature. And he just kept posting this topology map over and over and saying this is the proof.
Gonna need a flat Earth for those measurements.
Was he called Ben?
No, his name was Talon X.
Talon X?
Yeah.
Yeah, he's in the politics Discord. The flat Earth people have like their own channel in there.
Yeah. I'm banned from that channel, by the way.
Yeah, they explained why I asked why you were never coming in there.
And what they say?
What did they say? Everyone shush.
They say it's because of, you know, I've seen you come in and talk. They said it's because of the way you talk to people. I've heard it. You're pretty aggressive sometimes.
No, that's some bullshit right there. There's a definite reason why I'm not there.
Maybe I don't know then.
Yeah, they didn't tell you.
Do you find him aggressive now?
Sorry?
Do you think he's aggressive now?
No, not at all. Actually, he seems pretty cool right now.
Superchat.
Superfluid, supernatural, superintendent, superconductor.
Roger Ledwell again. No funny business. I'm gonna come over there and smack you around a bit.
I'm actually surprised that Quantum Erasure sounds so nice right now. I thought he would have been using some pretty bad words.
Well, it's just the power of suggestion, dude. People say, "Oh, he's the bad guy. He's the bad guy. He's the bad guy." Yeah, I'm the bad guy, right? It's just bullshit. Yeah.
Well, I think of you like the Trump of flat Earth, dude. That's how I think of you.
No, it's not that. Let me try to explain it. I'm not going to try to justify it. Listen, if I smell somebody that is a fraud, that is a pretender clown, and I can smell him pretty quick, then I'm going to tear your asshole through your throat.
You
That's
mean the
just
trolls?
what's going to happen. It doesn't matter trolls. It doesn't matter their station in life. Doesn't matter who you are. If I get a whiff of pretender clown fraudness, you're through. I don't care who you are. Now, if you're not, then you won't get that. Very simple. Very simple rule to follow. Yeah.
What Kiwi is saying is, don't pretend to be things that you're not, or to know things that you don't.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep. Very simple. And you won't feel the wrath. But if you do, and if you do, then gird your loins. Okay, we can move on from that. Oh, the reason why I'm banned from
Did
politics.
they tell you why they banned you?
Yes, I'm going to tell you right now.
You'd have to be a dumbass cracker to not know.
No, it wasn't dumbass cracker, even though I said that a lot. It was because I took a little little few liberties with the mods on the politics server, and I sort of physically threatened them.
Sort of physically threatened.
What?
Yeah, they don't take too kindly to that.
Why would you do that though? Like why?
Why? Because
Yeah.
they were pretender clown frauding, and so I had to.
The mods were?
Yeah, they were. It's a long story. I'll tell you. I'll make it short. So most of the mods in there are mods in 24/7, and they had maybe held some grudges towards Quantum Eraser in the past. So when I got in there, I wasn't a mod and they were, so they figured that they would take some liberties with me, but I caught on to it quick.
Oh, were they like meeting you and stuff like that?
Yeah.
Okay, I get it. And then I guess after all that, you said some bad things to them, and then they got you banned.
Yes, exactly. Boy, you're quick on the uptake.
Okay,
Which is
now
what
I
they
get
wanted.
it.
Which is what they wanted in the beginning. So
They
got
never
me.
told me
Yeah.
that. They told me it was because you were just saying like bad stuff to people.
What? Like you dumbass
Yeah,
cracker?
like threatening them.
The clue is in the server name. It's called politics.
Yes.
Is this QE's QE? Is this to your Discord server, Flat Earth Debate?
It's not mine. I run my show here like Nathan does. This server is now sponsored by a gentleman named Righteous. Before that, this server was made for me by Betty or Seardinks. That's just two people up from you. It was her original server in 2018.
Okay.
And it got cancelled.
They canceled the contract for the server.
Yeah,
Cancelled
because
us
Kiwi
all.
was nasty to people.
Because QE was nasty to people, so they canceled everyone's contract. Then Righteous responded. So it's not my server, it's his server. I just take up space here.
Yeah, you do.
Can I?
Indeed.
Huey, you're like a cyclone, man.
I clone.
Could I just say something?
Yes.
Hell
ahead.
no!
You go, Flatsy. I'll say it after you.
Well, yeah, I was just gonna expound on that. He just caused so much trouble wherever you go, leaving a rubble behind.
So, well, just say goodnight to the bad guy. I'll be the bad guy. Even when I lie, I tell the truth. And you'll never see a bad guy like this again, let me tell you.
As far as you know.
Go ahead, Brian.
Tony Montana, Scarface.
Shut up, Neil. Go ahead, Brian.
Yeah, listen, I don't want to be pushing it, but could we get started on the presentation? Because I have only an hour before, and even if I could listen in, I won't be able to do the presentation because I'll have to leave the house.
Fair enough.
Yeah, so whenever, it doesn't have to be right this moment, but within the very close future. Right.
Yeah. Everyone came here for it anyway. We'll get back to kicking it back and kicking. I always hated that shit. Talking back and forth here in a few minutes. We're gonna start off with or we're gonna get to Brian's presentation right now because Brian got to go and that's it.
Yeah, I have an hour, but I don't know how long the whole thing will take, and I'm expecting Adam's going to interrupt it 15 times, and Nathan will join in then. And Betty will have something to say because it's actually Betty's presentation. I'm doing it for her because she was the one that asked. So I want to give it. I want to give it the time that it will need. That's all.
Okay.
Nathan
Don't forget
Thomas
my
or
interruptions.
whatever might.
All right.
have
Shut
an
the hell
input
up.
as well.
Shut the hell up, board. Platty, let's just keep in mind the super chats. I don't want the super chats going through the presentation. I want Brian to begin and end without any super chats.
I already have put it in the chat that any super chats will be announced right after the presentation, so I'm on it.
Look at you anticipating and stuff. Don't anticipate. All right? Don't anticipate. But you
I
did a
was
good.
reading the room. If he needs to hurry up and get through the presentation, then I figured that I can kind of make that call.
You have the
We
preparatory
all
command.
heard, we all didn't. We heard on Saturday me get told off for reading the super chat in the middle of the presentation, so it's kind of obvious anyway.
I don't want to rush anybody. I'm not trying to. I want to give it the time. That way, there isn't a rush. That's what I want to do.
All right.
I want there to not be a rush. That's all I'm saying.
Okay.
And if I sit here and say nothing, it'll get to half. It'll be another half an hour, and I'll go. This is going to be tricky to do. Yeah, you know what I mean? I have to say something.
So what you're saying? Sorry.
I think we understood that, Brian. Thanks for the explanation, but I think everyone knew that intuitively.
Okay.
So what you're saying, Brian, is that you're not Russian. You're Irish.
He's a Rusky. He's an Irish Rusky. Shut up, Neil.
Oh my god.
Oh my god.
Oh goodness gracious.
All right, guess what, Brian? You're up.
Okay, right, I'll get started on it. Okay. Now, unfortunately, I had to force crowbar this presentation in there, and I didn't want to do it. I would rather if everything just ran smoothly and everybody just kind of gradually got around to it. As I said, I can't do it. And about it, either get going now or it's going to be a mess.
Get going.
Be honest with you, I'm a bit confused.
But I am too. We're ready, Brian.
We're ready.
I've already got this sharing, don't I? Yeah.
Yeah, we're on screen. We're on YouTube.
Sorry.
Let's go, Brian.
Sorry, Brian. Sorry.
I'm all yours.
My mother called.
His mother called just then.
That's about as plausible as Nathan's excuses. Oh, yeah, the electric. Yeah, my wife's gone into labour. Come on, Brian.
Yeah, my wife's gone into labour. She's 6 centimeters.
Yeah.
Go ahead, Brian. It's all yours.
Okay, right. Okay, so I'm just going to try and watch stream so I can see what you have up. Although I know you'll just be putting up exactly what I'm looking for you to do. Okay, Kepler's Analemma angles. Just hoping everyone can hear me. Everything's okay. Okay, these are the topics that will be discussed. Number 1, Kepler and astrology. Number 2, claimed Copernican ideas. Number 3, hoping for the best. LOL. Number 4, elliptical orbits. Number 5, the harsh truth for ballers. Number 6, the cold light of day. Number 7, 23.4 and 666. Right, what do they mean? Number 8, the number 9. And number 9, the number 8.
I like what you did there.
And some of them are for dramatic effect. They actually won't get covered because they don't mean anything. But I put them in there anyway.
You feeling?
We'll have to.
You feeling your? You think you're feeling your oats now? This is what this is telling me.
Yeah. Well, I want to keep people on their toes. Going, what could that mean? I wonder what this is going to be. The harsh truth. God knows what that's going to be. It just make it sound like as if it's going to be, epic. But I don't know if it is going to be epic. Okay. Funny enough, this presentation I did in 2016 or early 2017, and I did it on Ranty's channel originally. And funnily enough, I just realized that a while back that I'm sitting in the exact place I was when I did that presentation. That's a good 7-8 years ago. Now, this presentation is not the same one as I did then. That one got taken. That one, I don't know where it is. Ranty's channel got taken away. So, because Anthony Riley done a bet with him. It's like, I bet you this, and I'll lose my channel if it's wrong, and you lose your channel if you're wrong, and then Ranty lost his channel because he was wrong. It's just like, and there was loads of good stuff on his channel, but anyway, that's stupid stuff that goes on in the arena. I could do this presentation several different ways. This is a different way than I did it the last time, but I'm hoping that it's enjoyable, and I'm hoping that Betty in particular likes it because she asked me to do it, so I'm hoping that she'll get something out of it. Okay, we'll get started. Slide 2, please, because that's slide 1. Please, QE. Okay, there's going to be a little bit of reading here, right? And it will all tie in, right? Okay, this is about astrology, right? This portion I'm going to speak on now. And I'll be starting at where it says, it is not, down at that paragraph, right? It is not difficult, right? This is concerning astrology, right? It is not difficult to refute the pretensions of astrology, and the wonder is that they endured so long. Two persons born at the same time and or near the same place should have the same fate. Paris, in the time of Catherine de Medici of Louis XI, was sufficiently populous to have suggested this obvious conclusion, which just as obviously was not in accord with experience. The king and the carpenter, born in the same hour, had very different lives, but the carpenter had no astrologer to cast his horoscope, and the king believed that the stars revolved for him alone. Now, I understand the problem there with astrology, and this is not to promote astrology. This is the whole portion of this astrology portion is not to promote astrology, as a topic of or as a way of divination, and just to point out that there's certain things within there that the people suggesting that were ignorant of, and that's why they came to those conclusions. It's best to know what you're talking about before you go into those things. But I understand why someone would ask those questions. Okay, we'll continue on. Okay, the death blow to astrology was given by the system of Copernicus, which changed the face of the world. When it was once clearly understood that the Earth was a planet like Mars or Mercury, it took a new place in the solar system and in men's thoughts. Jupiter no longer moved in order to influence the destiny of the insignificant inhabitants of another planet. It had a mission of its own. Man was dethroned and could no longer regard himself as the center of the universe. Okay, what that is about is they're talking about how the Copernican solar system model dethroned astrology and basically took away astrology, and the whole point is they're saying they took away any influence that astrology had. Now, this is completely wrong, right? But they took away any influence that astrology had, and basically made astronomy the only astronomy within a heliocentric paradigm, the only let's say discipline worth learning about, right? Now, this is contradicted in the close future in this presentation. A short while ago, a manuscript of Kepler's was offered for sale in Germany, and it was at once secured for the collections of the Lieu Observatory. It is from the collection of Kepler MSS of the Observatory of Pulkowa, and bears the certificate of W. Struve. Okay, it is written on both sides of a rough, strong piece of paper. Next slide, please, Kiwi. Thank you. About 6 by 8 inches. The ink is somewhat yellow and faded, but is entirely illegible. The MS is a horoscope cast by Kepler of one Hans Hannibal Hutter, who was born 1586, September 10th. It bears the marks of extreme haste. At first sight, one might think that some other piece of manuscript would be more desirable for the collection of an astronomical observatory. What value could be assigned, for instance, to the scrap of paper on which the master verified his guess as to the third law of motion? The master, when they say master, they're referring to Kepler, in case anyone's misunderstood that. But nothing is more suitable to recall the personality of Kepler than this piece of astrology, by means of which he kept the wolf from the door and purchased the strength and leisure for higher things. This is a common misconception concerning Kepler, just so you know. I'll get back into that in a minute. It is strange to reflect that at last, this portrait and this manuscript of Kepler's should be printed for the first time in these publications on the very borders of Balboa's Sea. The chief parts of the manuscript are as follows. First, the title, which was not written by Kepler. There is the title. I'm not going to try reading that out. Then follows on the same side of the paper a diagram by Kepler intended to give the 12 astrological houses. It is not quite in this usual form and has evidently been drawn in great haste. Next to the diagram are 11 lines in a column giving the aspects, etc., of the planets and moon. On the reverse side of the sheet are 5 columns, similar to that just described. The first of 14 lines, the second of 16, some of which should have been written in the third column, as is indicated by lines directed to their proper places. The third of 8 lines, this column relates to the situation of the signs of the zodiac and is surrounded by a border. The fourth of 15 lines, the fifth of 16 lines. As the only interest in the manuscript is derived from Kepler's connection with it, the fate of Hans Hannibal Hutter being now unimportant, I do not transcribe the separate symbols here. The essential point is that the Lick Observatory possesses a genuine manuscript in Kepler's hand, which illustrates a part of his real life and belief. There is no doubt that Kepler seriously studied the art and next slide, please, Kiwi. Studied the art and science of judicial astrology, nor that he, like his forerunner Tycho, they're talking about Tycho Brahe, gave it a certain credence, always accompanied with some doubt. Warlick in this is going into, sorry, this is a German or Swiss, so I'm not going to try reading that. The whole point here, I don't need to read the rest of this one. The whole point here is that they're trying to say that Kepler, what it is they're embarrassed that Kepler basically was an astrologer, and they're embarrassed that people like Tycho Brahe and that were astrologers, and they're going to name out some famous astrologers in a while. And what they're trying to do is play down his use of astrology and say, well, he only did it to keep the wood from the door. That is not true at all. I have other information as well, but I'm not going to go, I didn't add it to this presentation, that shows that Kepler, that was completely not true at all, that he was a master in his time at astrology. And you'll see why I'm bringing this up in a while, why it's important. But the main thing is they're trying to belittle astrology and big up astronomy, when Kepler only learned astronomy through astrology, and he wouldn't have learned it if it wasn't for astrology. The same for Tycho Brahe and others. Okay, next slide, please, Kiwi. This is from a different, publication. Johannes Kepler on the more certain fundamentals of astrology, Prague, 1601. Forward notes and analytical outline by J. Bruce Brackenbridge, newly translated from the Latin by Mary Ann Rossi. Okay. The traditional textbook in physics or astronomy views Johannes Kepler only with regard to his contributions to astronomy, and in particular with regard to that limited portion of his astronomical works that has proven to be of continued utility, his 3 laws of planetary motion. If his astrological views are discussed at all, it is assumed that as an enlightened astronomer, he believes astrology to be nonsense, or at best a source of income forced on him by an unenlightened patriarch. Such a view is not supported either by Kepler's writing or by the tradition of scientific astrology in which he worked. This tradition has roots that extend back to the earliest recorded scientific endeavours. In fact, Otto Neugebauer, in his Exact Sciences in Antiquity, makes a strong case for the claim that initially the fundamental doctrines of astrology were pure science. To a modern scientist, an ancient astrological treatise appears as mere nonsense, but we should not forget that we must evaluate such doctrines against the contemporary background. To Greek philosophers and astronomers, the universe was a well-defined structure of directly related bodies. The concept of predictable influence between these bodies is in principle not at all different from any modern mechanistic theory. And it stands in sharpest contrast to the ideas either of arbitrary rulership of deities or of the possibility of influencing events by magical operations. Compared with the background of religion, magic, and mysticism, the fundamental doctrines of astrology are pure science. Of course, the boundaries between rational science and loose speculation were rapidly obliterated, and astrological lore did not stem, but rather promoted superstition and magical practices. This astrological boundary between rational science and loose speculation has been patrolled and defended by two outstanding astronomers, Claudius Ptolemy in the 2nd century AD and Johannes Kepler in the 17th century AD. Both these men are a purity in astronomy, but that does not exist in astrology. Both these men see a purity in astronomy that does not exist in astronomy, but the fundamentals of astrology nevertheless are defended as being well-founded in science. In the introduction to this great work on astrology, Tetrabelius, the astronomer Ptolemy, clearly makes the distinction between the two disciplines. On the one hand, astronomy is concerned with observing, recording, and predicting the juxtapositions aspects of the celestial bodies with great scientific precision. On the other hand, astrology is concerned with applying the knowledge of the astronomical aspects to the less exact and more mundane task of predicting terrestrial events. Nevertheless, both disciplines have in common a concern with the heavens, and both have a rational basis for their operation, Ptolemy states. Of the means of prediction through celestial observations, two are the most important and valid. One, which is first both in order and in effectiveness, is that whereby we apprehend the aspects of the movements of the sun, moon, and stars in relation to each other and to the earth as they occur from time to time, i.e., astronomy. The second is that in which, by means of the natural character of these aspects themselves, we investigate the changes which they bring about in that which they surround, i.e., astrology. The first of these has been expounded to you as best we could in its own treatise, the Almagest, by the method of the demonstration. We shall now give an account of the second and less sufficient method in a properly philosophical way, so that the one whose aim is the truth might never compare its perceptions with the sureness of this first. Unvarying science, for he ascribes to it, astrology, the weakness and unpredictability of material qualities found in individual things, nor yet refrain from such investigation as is within the bounds of possibility, when it is so evident that most events of a general nature draw their causes from the enveloping heavens. Ptolemy continues by saying that although allegations against the first can only be made by the blind, and that there are spacious grounds for those levelled at the second, nevertheless he intends to examine the measure of both the possibility and usefulness of such prognostication. After all, he reminds us, everything that is hard to obtain is easily assailed. Now, the reason for me reading those things out is because they don't want to accept that where all their astronomy came from. All astronomy was taught through astrology in the old world, and I didn't put it in here because I would rather people just looked it up, that it is widely known now that there was no way that Kepler could have come up with his Analemma without first having been an astrologer, that there's no way he would have had the information and understanding and knowledge to actually do what he did, right? And it's accepted. Now, what they're trying to do is here in this document is point out that, well, Ptolemy was very much an astrologer, and he wasn't nobody. So they're not saying there's something in it, but they're just saying that the likes of Ptolemy and Kepler and others held it in high regard, a regard that the astronomers of today would scoff at. Yet the astronomers of today, their whole paradigm is built around a paradigm that was built basically by Kepler. Their whole paradigm is based around Kepler. All of the heliocentric model is based around Kepler. It wouldn't exist if it wasn't for Kepler. It's not Copernicus, it was Kepler. And I'm going to show this in a minute. But they're trying to basically deny astrology when it is only because of Kepler's understanding of astrology that led to him being able to do what he did with the Copernican solar system model. little bit of information about Kepler. His mother grew up most of the time with her aunt, and her aunt was burned as a witch. His mother was also put on trial for witchcraft, and his father was a mercenary. So he had a bit of a crazy upbringing. Him and Tycho Brahe did have a fight, and he, from as far as I can remember, he ended up chopping off Tycho Brahe's nose. But yet he had been a student of Tycho Brahe. Now, Ptolemy was a student of Aristotle, who was also an astrologer, and who was Aristotle a student of only Plato, who was also an astrologer. So but in today's world, they want to promote people like Plato, promote Aristotle, promote Ptolemy, promote Kepler, but say that the very basis of what very foundations of what a lot of their what's the word? Maybe brilliance is not the word, but maybe for some of brilliance comes from their learning of astrology. Yet they don't want to promote astrology because it's an embarrassment to them. For them to realize that and to admit that their whole heliocentric paradigm is only possible due to someone having astrological knowledge and being able to manipulate them with that astrological knowledge. Okay, next slide, please, Kiwi. Okay, list of famous astrologers through history: Galileo Galilei, Hipparchus, Johannes Kepler, Tycho Brahe, Nostradamus, Giordano Bruno, Roger Bacon, John Dee, Ptolemy, and more. Now, there's more I could add it in, but I didn't add it in. Just that's enough. There's plenty enough famous names in there that are connected to and often used as references by the Globers in connection to their model, their claims of a globe and heliocentrism and other things. And yet they were astrologers, and they were what's the word I'm for? Aren't astrologers? No. I can't think of the word that starts with A. But basically, they were promoting of astrology. That was the whole point. But this is a massive, for astronomy, not just heliocentrism, but for astronomy in general. This is a massive embarrassment that they don't want to deal with. You know what I mean? It's the cousin that's locked in the cellar that they pretend doesn't exist, but yet they feed the cousin, and the cousin is the reason that they're all there. It's kind of like that. It's it's the dodgy uncle that they don't want to deal with, basically. Next slide, please, Kiwi. Okay, this slide here. Wait till you zoom it up a bit. Okay, from Ptolemy, right? He had the Earth-centric, right? He had the Moon, Mercury, Venus, Sun, Mars, Jupiter, Saturn, and stars. They were all rotating around the Earth. The Earth was stationary. That's Ptolemy, and obviously before him Aristotle, and before him Plato, and everyone after them, right up until Copernicus, everyone was geocentric. Now, I'm going to put this out here now. I would like for somebody who thinks they understand astronomy and understand the heliocentric claims and the heliocentric paradigm to show me how the globe works geocentric. See if you can come up with that. Because I would state, and I would state very confidently, that before Kepler, there was no globe. Before Copernicus, there was no globe. That there was no such thing as globe before their time. That there is no way for the globe claim to work geocentric. It can only work heliocentric. For what they need to have happen, geocentric will never work for them. It'll work for us, but it won't work for them on a globe. It only works for a flat plane, with the celestials not being what they claim them to be. So you have to remember, all their claims are based around, all their heliocentrism. The sun has a certain composition, certain size and distance. The moon has, Venus has, Saturn has, the stars have, etc., etc., etc. So I would like for somebody to try and prove me wrong there, because I'd be 99.9% sure that it would be impossible to prove me wrong, because I firmly believe that, and I'm only call it a belief now because of that 0.1% where it could be wrong. I firmly believe, so I can't say I know, but I firmly believe that the globe didn't exist when things were seen as geocentric. The globe only turned up with Copernicus, and that's why I think Tycho Brahe was so against it, and others, that it was. I don't think that the truth. History is always rewritten and messed with and manipulated, and I don't think the truth of that is known. I really don't. Okay, next slide, please, QE. Unfortunately, this slide didn't come out, right? It's okay. You can go on to back to the first one. Sorry, this one. I have a slide here, and it shows a slide, but all you're seeing is colored dots. So if you just go back to the previous slide, just a second. This I can use the. I can use the Copernicus. If you look to the right, the Copernicus version of the solar system, right? His solar system. It puts Sun. It's heliocentric. Sun at center, and Mercury, Venus, Earth, the Moon around Earth, then Mars, Jupiter, and Saturn. He has all them in perfect circles, right? And the thing about that is that was the problem. None of this would work. That will work that will work from a geocentric point of view, but it won't work, as far as I know, it'll work geocentric, but it won't work heliocentric, right? It can't work. The perfect circles won't explain for them what they need to explain. And this all comes from, the reason it won't is it comes directly from the Sun and the Analemma, right? This is the thing. This is the trick. Everything starts and ends with the Sun. Remember, heliocentrism. The distance to the Sun and the size of the Sun and the composition of their Sun, not the Sun, but their claimed distance, their claimed size, and their claimed composition, that all translates straight out into every other claimed star in some way, shape, or form. Because the Sun is their closest star, right? So it all translates out. So all these other stars are basically suns as well, or the majority of them are also suns, and they also have similar composition. And they say that the likes of, I think it's a hydrogen is the most common element in their universe, and of course it is because all their stars have to be hydrogen fusion reactors. Blah blah blah. Right? Bullshit. But yeah, right. So the thing is that right, all what Copernicus had was he had a heliocentric position. This is what they claim. I don't know because this supposedly came out after he died. So I don't know if even he said this exactly, but we'll go with it for the moment. We might be misrepresenting the guy, but the circles didn't work for them. So if you just go on to not the next one, but the slide after that, QE, there's a white slide there. Thank you. Okay, they have it up here, the Copernican system, but it's not. This is Kepler's. This is what Kepler did. Kepler took the Copernican system and he mathematically amalgamated his circular system with the already existing sun cycle that he was fully aware of. Because remember, he learned astrology, so he had to know the sun cycle. You can't know astrology and not know the sun cycle. Every part of astrology, there's not one part of astrology where the sun is not directly involved, right? Every part of astrology needs the sun, so you need to know the sun cycle, where it is in the sky, what position it is in the sky in relation to your position on Earth, all these things. Otherwise you can't, because otherwise nobody can come to him and say, I was born in this place at this time. Can you do an astrological chart for me? And he can't. If he doesn't know the sun cycle, then he can't. He may as well be trying to fix their taps. He needs to know the sun cycle, and this is all prior to the Copernican model. So what he needed to do was take all those circles, right, and he needed to mathematically, because the man was obviously pretty smart, he needed to mathematically make the whole Copernican solar system work, but it couldn't have circles. It needed to have offset elliptical orbits, and that's where we have the elliptical orbits come from. The claim of them comes from. Now they try and extend them out to other things in the sky. Oh, there's an elliptical orbit of the moons around Jupiter, or God knows what nonsense. When all they're seeing is things going, two-dimensional things appearing to go in front of other two-dimensional things and nothing else. So what Kepler did is he gave them a heliocentric elliptical orbit. So we're on a globe Earth orbiting around a sun over a 12-month period in a big offset elliptical. And they then said, well, all the stars must do, because this way, if you look at these three laws of planetary motion, they're all based around everything doing this. It's all elliptical. When he was fully aware fully aware that all this was rubbish. Right, we'll get to that in a minute. Okay, so next slide, please, Kiwi. Okay, so here we have, I want Betty to pay attention here, because I don't know how well she knows this or not, but I'm making this for her. She asked me to do it. Here we have a sun in the center and a globe out at either side of it. So the globe out on the left of the sun, right, if you're looking at the screen, that's slightly further away than the one on the right, right? They have almost parallel light rays from the sun, their big massive sun, 93 million miles away, coming and hitting their globe, right? If you can see these two little globes, you have these two green lines kind of cutting through them at an angle. That is the 23.4 degree tilt. That is the equatorial plane. That's the equator on the globe, and it's tilted, right, at 23.4 degrees. The globe itself doesn't tilt from side to side. It keeps rotating and takes an elliptical orbit around their sun. And at one time of the year, if we start at the left side, when the globe is furthest from the sun, their sun I should say, then their parallel light rays hit the north at an angle that's more straight on than it does hit the south. So that gives them summer in the north, even though their globe is further from the sun. And if you look at the right-hand side, you have summer in the south, where their globe is closer to the sun, and the parallel light rays are hitting at an angle that's more straight on to the south of their equator. And this is how they try and explain seasons. So if you go on to the next slide, please, Kiwi. Okay, so how they try to explain seasons is at these 2 points, left and right, the globe left and right. At the furthest one to the left, that is when their globe is 3 million miles further from the sun than it will be. Let's say that's around early July, than it will be in early January, right? That's because that's when it's closest to the sun. So when it's further from the sun, it's 3 million miles more further in distance, and that is our northern summer according to them, and that's called the aphelion. When it's closer, 3 million miles closer to the sun, and it's tilted, the tilt has the south of the equator receiving more parallel light rays, then that's the southern summer, and that's called perihelion. And in the back we have the globe at equinox. So when the globe at either side of this big ellipse, that will be equinox. The one here at the back, that would be spring equinox. The spring equinox, when it comes around here after the because it's moving anti-clockwise, if I remember correctly, after the summer. So the northern summer, it will come around to the front of their sun, and that will be the September equinox, or the autumn equinox. So that's how their claim works, right? So in the north, we get a summer, even though we're claimed to be 3 million miles further from their sun, right? Than in 6 months later. And in the south, we're claimed to be 3 million miles closer to the sun, but the north is cold while the south is warm. Right? It's complete and utter nonsense. But this is what Kepler had to do. This is what he needed to do. This is where the 23.4 degree tilt comes from. Now, I'm just going to point out, because I said it earlier, the 23.4 degree tilt, right? When people subtract that from 90, they end up with 666. And they see it straightly, they immediately think this is some kind of witchery, right? Now, I can understand that. I understand that because what 666 is in the Bible. But what 666 refers to is the number 9. Because it's all based around the latitude and longitude grid. Every part of his Analemma is based around him, right? Under him knowing about latitude and longitude, him having the sun cycle, and it's all based around taking that knowledge that he already had and amalgamating it into the Copernican circles model of a heliocentric system, where the Earth is not at the center, right? And he had to do that. But the point I'm making here is the 23.4 degrees, right? That's 23.4 degrees away from the equator, north or south. And if you take that from 90, you will end up with 666. But that relates to the number 9. 23.4 also relates to the number 9. When you add them up, you end up with 9. 2 and 3 is 5, and 4 is 9. The whole of the latitude and longitude grid is based around geometry, and all of geometry comes directly and basically, if it's geometric, it must adhere to the number 9. When you take all the angles into account, it doesn't matter 2D or 3D, it must adhere to the number 9. Otherwise, it's not geometry. So I'll give you an example of something that's not geometry, right? Claimed spherical triangles. They are not geometry. They do not adhere to the number 9. So they cannot be used geometrically. They're just a mathematical claim that has no real-world geometry connection. Because you can't use geometry in the real world unless you're referring to the number 9. Every shape, 2-dimensional or 3-dimensional shape, every measurement, right, comes back to 9. Right? And the latitude and longitude grid all adheres to 9. Now I could go into, there's another presentation I could make on that. But the point I'm making is here is not so much it is the promotion of the number 9 and the importance of it, especially geometrically, because we deal with geometry all the time. It's the 23.4 degrees and the 666 thing. That is not based around witchcraft or worship of dark forces. That is based around geometry and the latitude and longitude grid, and where all that came from, which is the base 60 system. It all came from the Babylonians, and maybe before them, we don't know, but it's been around. Pythagoras knew about it. They all knew about it. You know, all these people, Aristotle, Ptolemy, they all knew about these things, right? Everyone behind me hear about someone being a polymath, they knew about it. That's all you need to know. Oh, this person 2,000 years ago, a famous polymath. Yeah, they knew about it. Eratosthenes, polymath. Do you know what I mean? Aristarchus, polymath. Ptolemy, polymath. All of these people, they all were well aware of this, and so was Kepler, right? Because the number 9 is directly a part also of astrology, because astrology uses 12 houses. What are the 12 houses? What are they? They're all those 12 houses are they're all based off of the sky, and it's all directly connected to latitude and longitude grid. So astrology is a big part of celestial navigation as well, but people just don't realize that. But I'm not going to go into all that now. But the point is that all these things are connected, and Kepler was fully aware of all these things, and that's where he got to create this offset elliptical orbit nonsense. That why he did it, who knows? But that's why he created this. That's why he was able to create this, because he had that knowledge, and he had to make the orbits not circular like we would maybe observe in the sky, but more make them elliptical, because we're the one orbiting then, not the sun. So it's what we're doing, not what we're seeing the sun do. Okay, next slide, please, QE. Okay, this is an official slide. It's from 2015 Encyclopedia Britannica Inc. And it just shows their big orbit. This is more of a fancy slide where it shows their orbit around the sun, and it's going anti-clockwise. And you have a Helion at July the 4th, which is when their claimed globe is furthest from the sun, and a perihelion on January the 3rd, when their claimed globe is closest to the sun. And what's interesting, you have the June solstice, which is the longest day of the year, and that comes before aphelion, and you have the December solstice, which is the longest. The June solstice with the longest day, which is the longest day of the year north of the equator. And that comes before aphelion. Then you have the December solstice, which is the longest day of the year south of the equator, and that comes before the perihelion, right? So it's really bizarre the way they have all this set up. You have the two equinoxes there, but that's how they claim that's how they claim it works. But see this diagram here? This is all they can show you. They've got nothing past this diagram. Nothing other than calculations based off the pre-assumptions, or that Kepler was telling the truth, and Kepler was correct. And Kepler's 3 laws of planetary motion. They all adhere to this. Every one of them, every cycle in their sky, their heliocentric sky, every star, there's always some elliptical orbit involved. Everything comes back to an elliptical orbit, because they think every one of those stars are some other sun, and it's the same nonsense. There's something orbiting in it in an elliptical fashion, and it's all nonsense. And all they'll ever give you is this diagram, or a diagram that's similar and based off of this exact claim here. It's total nonsense. So next slide, please, QE. Here we have what they claim is a time lapse over the course of 12 months of the actual solar analemma. Now, this is from north to south. I know from the way it's orientated, it's north to south. I think when the small part of the loop, the small loop is to the right, I think that's when someone is more west, and I think when the small part of the loop is more to the left, and it's more east, right? And there is also, you can't see this exact thing. You see something similar from the south. You see this in the opposite way, but you don't see it like this. This is the funny thing about it. You don't see it with this small loop at the bottom and the big loop at the top. You don't see that. It's very strange. I was looking for that years ago and I couldn't find it, and I realized you just don't see it, right, in that way from the south. It looks more like just like in a straight line, or a line. It's more kind of its angle to your horizontal eye line is closer, and so you're seeing it more lengthways with the small loop out in front and the big loop at the back. But you're not seeing this in the opposite way. So if you reverse this to the south of the equator, you're not going to see this with the big loop at the top and the small loop at the bottom at this angle to you. You only see this angle to you at north to south. This is what the actual sun cycle is. This is this. Now, I don't know if this is taking its solar noon over the course of 12 months. Now, obviously, they had to try and get a day each time when there wasn't a load of clouds. So I don't, or this is the basics of what they've seen, whatever. But the point is this is what it makes. The sun makes an 8. So we're going into the number 8 there earlier. This is it. The sun makes an 8, and 8 is always seen as like infinity, because the sun is, and it's based around the infinity symbol is always 8, and it's based around the sun and the solar analemma, and the fact that the sun makes this 8 in the sky over the course of 12 months, and it keeps doing that. So up at the very top of this loop, this will be when the sun is at its highest point in the sky, and it's making its smallest circle. This is in the 21st of December, right? This will be the 21st of June. As it moves towards autumn, the autumn equinox, if you go down left down to where it crosses over, right, where the two lines cross over, that will be the autumn equinox. And as it's going down for the observer in the sky, this is all apparent positions. I must say this, I must make this thing. These are all apparent positions. We don't know what the sun is. I'm not making any claims here about what the sun is how it does, what it's made of, or what height it is off the ground. I don't know those things, right? This is how it's read. As it comes down, it's making a bigger loop, right, and moving faster. That's how it's explained. That's the only way to explain it from a terrestrial point of view. Is its circle it's making above us, or ellipse it's making above us. It's as it comes down to the left of that loop, it's moving faster and it's widening out its circle or its ellipse, right? As it gets to where the crossover point is, that is the equinox point, right? Where it's basically over the equator. So up at the top, when it was at the very top there, that's when it's over the Tropic of Cancer. When it gets to that crossover point, it's at the equator. And then we come down across that, and you come down to the right of the loop, and you keep coming down. And as these observations come down towards the bottom, the sun is explained as being moving at a greater rate, right? And the angular rate is the same, but moving at a faster rate, right? It's miles per hour rate. If you could give it one, it's claimed to be faster. It's making a bigger circle, and it keeps doing that until it gets down to the very bottom. And that low sun in the sky at the very bottom of this number, this 8 symbol, is the 21st of December. And that is when the sun is making its claimed to be its fastest circle, and is at its lowest point in the sky, right? And it's closest to Earth. That's what they say. And then after that, this will be around 21st of December. After that, as you go into January, February, right, by March, right? The sun is seen to turn up at solar noon higher in the sky and higher until it reaches, once again, equinox, which would be the March equinox, where it's having that crossover point. And then it will go up along the right side of the small loop and keep going. You will keep observing it each day being higher and higher and higher till it gets back to the 21st of June. That is what we observe, right? This is what we're observed. We don't observe any of this nonsense, these elliptical orbits. We don't observe any of this. We don't observe ourselves doing anything. We observe what the sun is doing over a 12-month period. That's all we observe. That's a 12-month cycle. From the top of the loop, down to the bottom, back up and around to the top. That's the 12-month cycle. From 21st of June to the 21st of June, or the 21st of December to the 21st of December, right? That's what it is. There is nobody observes elliptical orbits or any other nonsense, right? That is purely something. Now, it doesn't mean the sun is not making an elliptical orbit, right? Or elliptical path over us. I won't say orbit because that's wrong. The point being is that the sun, right? We're observing what the sun is doing, right? We're not observing what we're doing. So it's what the sun is doing, not what we're doing. And this is exactly the knowledge and information that Kepler had, what the sun is doing, not what we're doing. We're not doing anything. The sun is doing stuff, and other things in the sky are doing stuff. Kepler had no proof in any way, shape, or form that we were doing anything. Yet he went along with the Copernican model. Maybe he was just being what's the word I'm looking for? Maybe he was just trying to manipulate history. I don't know why he did what he did, but all I know is that all his observations were taken from Earth, every single one of them, right? None of them were taken from the sky watching the globe do anything. Next slide, please, QE, second last slide. Okay, if we look at it over a flat plane, this is the only way I can. This is the only way I can depict it, right? There's the only way you can kind of really depict this. What you're at the circle at the top, that would be over this Tropic of Cancer. Well, when the sun is around the 21st of June, the sun is at its highest point in the sky, and it moves right at it's making its smallest loop at its highest point in the sky. It makes its smallest, slowest loop above us. Now, at this time, what happens is the Arctic Circle melts, right? Every year, the Arctic ice shelves or whatever, they melt every year, right? And it's this that melts them, right? And this lasts for 3 days. There's 3 days where the sun doesn't move, as in it doesn't move from its path. There's 3 days when it's on the 21st of June, where it's up in the sky, making its tightest, I'm just going to use circle just because it's easy for explanation, its tightest circle at its lowest rate for 3 days. And then it begins to, let's say, fall again in the sky until it gets to and make bigger circles and make faster, move faster at making and widening out the circle till it gets to the mid one, which is the equinox. And it does that there. It makes its circle at equinox, and that's the midpoint. And then it continues on till it gets to the bottom circle, which is the 21st of December, which is the southern solstice, and it will then, once again, for 3 days, it will make its biggest circle around us and move at its fastest rate, although the angular rate will be equal. The angular rate won't change, but it's the sun's, let's just say you could use I've done it in the past, I've used the latitude, circles of latitude to calculate out what the sun would be doing if its path was exactly around that latitude, circle of latitude. Now, there's no guarantee it's exactly around that circle of latitude, its path. The latitude and longitude grid is based off of Polaris, and it's based off of a 24-hour solar day, but people are confused because this is the way they manipulated people. They're confused into thinking that every point on those latitude lines between the Tropic of Cancer and the Tropic of Capricorn, they are the exact sun path. No, they're not. They're not based off the sun. That is based off of flatter elevation angles to Polaris and off a 24-hour solar day, broken up into 15 degrees per hour, which gives us a correct local time, which is why Australia only has 2 hours between East and West Coast, and America has 3 hours between East and West Coast. debunking the globe, but that's a separate presentation. But the point being is that the latitude and longitude grid, people are given the impression, because how they must show it with the globe, is that the sun always goes around with angle towards one of the longitude lines, and that's not correct. We don't know what the sun is doing, what it is, how it does it. We just know that on these 3 dates, the sun is in these positions in the sky. That's all we know. So on the 21st of December, that will be where the sun is making its biggest circle over the Earth. This is how it's described, right? How would they describe it working? And it's moving at its fastest pace. It will hold for 3 days. Again, hold for 3 days. And what's interesting is, if we did have let's say we did have an ice wall, right? This actually, what the sun is doing here in this whole Analemma system, would actually suit what the claims they make about the North Pole, about the Arctic Circle, and Antarctica, because it would melt the ice in the way that it's being melted. If it was true, I don't know if any of that is true, but I'm just saying that it actually would work with the fish underneath in the Arctic, in the Antarctic, and how it would insulate them. I've gone through all that in the past, years back, but that's just a sidebar. It doesn't make, I don't know, so I can't make a claim about it. But that is the basics of, like, if you want to describe what the sun is doing over a 12-month period. And last slide, please, QE. Here you can see angles. So I've added in 2 angles. I think I should have put them in with different colors because they're harder to see. I've just shown 2 elevation angles to the sun at 2 different times of the year. Right? That's what Kepler had. That is the information that Kepler had. That's where all Kepler's observations, they were all those angles. And all the observations before him were all those angles off of that flat plane. Every single part of Kepler's solar analemma is purely a back engineering of the original sun cycle, right, amalgamated with the Copernican solar system model. That's all it is. So there was never a time when he observed anything happening. There was never a time where he observed anything happening where there was observed a globe rotating and an elliptical orbit. None of that. These angles, these elevation angles of a flat plane, of the flat plane of Earth, that is all he ever had. That's where his information comes from. That's the only information he ever had. Every single, if you go back, QE, please, to the 2 slides back to the actual Analemma. Just back to, yeah, this here. How do you determine the point of that in the sky? Angles, elevation angles. That's all he had. So this thing about these elliptical orbits and this globe making this big elliptical orbit around the sun and all this nonsense about seasons. If you just go back again to the last slide, please, QE. Sorry for that. This is the last time I'll ask you to move. Right. This also explains the seasons. And if you look at the Gleason's map and look at the 2 solstices at the bottom left and right, you can see that what he's talking about there is this. If you want to talk about reality, this is what you're talking about. Now, I don't know what the sun is, how it does what it does. I just know that it appears to rise in the sky coming towards June, and it appears to lower in the sky after that until it gets to December. Then it appears to start rising in the sky again, and its circle of motion appears to be widened as it goes from June to December, and it appears to be tightened as it goes from December back to June. That is the basics. That is what this diagram here is, basically the only information that we actually have concerning what the sun is doing. This is it. And unfortunately, after I don't know how many hundreds or thousands of years of man and mankind, this is the best we can come up with. Sorry to tell you. I'm finished.
Brilliant,
got a
Brian.
question.
Loved it, mate. Absolutely loved it.
Excellent presentation. I got a question, Brian.
Thank you. Yeah, go on, Nathan. Yeah.
I always wondered why they claim this nonsense about summer in the north being farther from the sun with aphelion, and it sounds like that's just what we observe. Is the sun is farther away, it's getting higher, so they had to reverse engineer that into their model.
Yeah, that's all it was. It was purely that's why there were parts actually I forgot I should have added in. I'm glad you reminded me, Nathan. Yeah, the fact that in our northern summer the sun appears higher in the sky then the only way Kepler could make that work was by making the globe further from their sun. Do you know what I mean? And the same, and then in the southern summer, we're closer to their sun in their claim. But it's not that we're closer to the sun. The sun is claimed to be, by observation only, closer to us. Do you know what I mean? By observation only, the sun is further from us in the northern summer and closer to us in the southern summer, right? So they had to just make it so that the sun was stationary and we were the ones getting closer and further from the sun. So that is exactly, I'm glad you reminded me of that, because that's a very important point, Nathan, and I forgot to say it. Yeah.
I do want to also. Sorry, go ahead.
No, Flatty, sorry. Go ahead.
No, I just wanted to add that the moon makes the same pattern in the sky and takes. I mean, it does the same thing, but every month, right? Every 28 days.
I'm not 100% sure of that yet. I've been told it does, and people have said it does, and I've seen some diagrams in that showing it does, but I don't know yet if that's 100% correct. It could be, and I wouldn't be surprised if it was, because the moon does appear higher sometimes, the full moon, and it appears lower other times, and different things like that. So the moon does do strange things, and very likely it is true. Very likely, I would say that is true. But can I say 80-90% because I don't know for certain. That's the truth on that.
Well, the way that you had depicted the 3 different circles at different elevations, it would make sense to me in my brain. Sorry, that would depend, like which circle that was on and how that would traverse for eclipses. What would make it not a full eclipse? Maybe like an annular or something like that.
Yes. Yeah. I mean, these kind of like things like eclipses and that. This is how they like all of these eclipses. Like what you're saying about the moon is correct. I would say I'd be in agreement with you that that's probably what the moon is doing. But because I don't know, I can't say it for definite. But I would be in agreement with you that it probably is what the moon is doing. Because as far as I know, the moon does make that same 8 symbol, right? But what you're saying about eclipses and stuff, yes. Obviously, my diagrams are not the scale, so obviously I don't know the scale of it, of the whole thing, heights and all this kind of stuff, if you could even give the sun a height. But the thing is that it would be for partial and total eclipses of the solar eclipses. And this is how all of them are come from flat plane. They're all from people, like all this the solar cycle, they all came from people who didn't believe they were on a rotating globe. Yet they were able to predict these things. Not predict, but they're able to discern that at this date this will happen because those 2 heavenly bodies will cross at this point. You're not going to. It's like in 2017 in the US, you saw the solar eclipse, but no one else in the world saw it. Only ye. So it must have been that now. But that doesn't mean either that the moon is the thing that's getting in the way of the sun, because I couldn't find any evidence that was what they called the new moon. I can find no evidence that the new moon is even there each month.
Yeah, that is something to think about too. I just wanted to bring it up because maybe if one of us or multiple people, from our group would track the analemmas throughout the year of both the moon and the sun, if that's the case, it might be interesting in light of how we're told they know when this is going to happen, this eclipse is going to happen. It might be an interesting find if we did that.
Well, the thing about it is that when I saw the solar eclipse in 2017, I got some high definition video of it. This is only going back about 2 or 3 years ago, and I looked into it and I filtered with 3 different types of software what they were showing to be going in front of the sun, and it was not the moon. I had an image from time and date of exactly what the moon should look like from that observer's position, and I got it from that person's channel, and nobody disagreed with it. And what I saw in front, there was pattern on this thing, but it doesn't only have one main pattern, and the rest is basically just some dots and that. There's no other patterns on it. And whatever is going in front of the sun, I can't say it's not the moon, but I'm about 95% I'm 95% certain that I have no evidence that it is. Literally, what's going in front of the sun during the solar eclipse is I would make the claim that it's more than likely not the moon, because I could find no evidence. Because their only evidence, remember Flatty, their only evidence that there's a new moon in the sky, their only evidence that this thing exists is this claim to go in front of the sun during a solar eclipse. Other than
Right,
that,
and
the moon disappears every month. They have
yeah,
no
right,
evidence that
and
it doesn't.
those eclipses usually happen during that time frame, right?
Yeah, it's always when the moon is at new moon that this thing goes in front of the sun. But as I said, when I checked it, it's not the moon. It's not the moon. I can maybe share some. I can't do it right now because it's on my computer. It's broken. But as soon as it's fixed, I'll share some of these images with you. I have about 30 of them. And no matter what I do, no matter what filter I use, it's the same thing shows up, and it's not the moon. I have comparisons with what the moon. Yeah, not the moon. So they have no evidence that the new moon is there every month. They have no evidence that there's something in the sky. And I've actually asked Jay Tolan Media, who has this heat camera, this new heat camera he has, where it's like Flare or one of these kind of things, where it picks up heat, thermal stuff. And he can pick up the moon, where he's showing the moon where it has this big red part in the middle, and then there's orange and yellow outside of it. The orange and then yellow outside of it. And then on the outside of the moon, there's this dark blue ring, which means the outside is cold, right? Now, we feel cold moonlight with the sun. I've seen no evidence that the no evidence that the moonlight is not cold, right? I've seen zero evidence that it's not cold, only evidence that it is. And the thing about this is that I asked Jay Tolan, wait for the new moon, the exact day, because it's an exact day, and then at the exact position in the sky where it claimed to be for him, right, which would be during the day, find that moon with the thermal camera. And he didn't do it. Don't know why he didn't do it. He didn't do it. He started showing me the moon the day after. So I said, not the day after, the moon on the day.
Isn't it? It's 3 days. It's gone for 3 days.
Well, but it's not, though. It's only one particular day. There's 2 other days where there's a little glimmer of moon. You can pick it up the day either side, but there's one particular day. It's like with the full moon. The full moon appears to be 3 days, but it's not. There's only one day that's the actual full moon. So is that one day where you can't see any part of it, because you can see a tiny glimmer of the edge of it, or an edge type thing on the day before and the day after. But on this day of the actual claimed new moon, nothing. Literally nothing. Nobody has been able to find it. They just say it's there, but you can't see it because the sky is blue. No, this kind of rubbish. But they have no evidence that it's there. They have nothing. So.
Well, I got a super chat during your
super
presentation. Okay. Roger Lidwell, he said, entropic refrigeration, it's the way of the future.
If you check the BALLBUSTERS text chat, Brian, I put a couple of pictures in there. Scroll back at ages in our chat. Is this one of the ones you might be referring to?
1 second, Adam. I'll have a look there now.
If you can share it.
Yes, and I actually have even more than that. Let me just look. I have way more. I have other pictures, Adam, that are, and I have other pictures that even showed up more. But the one on the left, that's claimed to be the thing on the right.
Go back to March 2022 to find those. Just a couple as I scroll back. So yeah, I thought they were the ones you were on about, because I said they do exist. That's why I bothered to scroll back to give me. But interesting.
Yeah, the second. Because the second one there shows the first one is the moon in time and days. The second one shows the actual moon and its position and what it should look like at that exact day. And the left is what you actually get. And I have more clear pictures than even that. If there's this one pattern on it, it looks like a big helium balloon with all the serrated edges. That's actually what's in front of the sun on that day. Thanks, Adam.
Brian, do you think what we observe with the Analemma being lopsided, smaller in the north, and then not having equidistant points in the north and south, does that make any sense on the globe model? Like, how would they account for that?
Well, the only way they can account for it is through what Kepler put forward. That's it. A big offset elliptical orbit that brings their globe closer and further from. That's the only way they can do it.
Yeah, but the difference between 91 and 94 million miles is pretty minuscule, and we see drastic difference. I just think it should look more like a perfect 8 on their model than it does. It's way too lopsided.
Yeah. Oh, look. I mean, they can't even start that process because can't come up with an elevation angle. If you want to see it that way, but this is as I said, Kepler is the best they got. There's no one going to do better than Kepler.
The lopsidedness, how the 8 is perceived, is based on the position. Yeah, on your position on the land. Yeah, so if you go head to the equator, you're going to get a different shape in the sky. It's going to be a different, yeah. The sun analemma. If you go to the south, it's going to bend the other way. That's and the eccentricity of it would be heading towards you physically being further away from the equator, or to the north, or further away from the equator to the south. That's what's going to vary how you view it and how its eccentricity changes. It's holding a GP, isn't it, between these positions? Now, the elevation angle you measure on its transit is also dependent on your position on the plane.
What did Betty think?
For example, at equinox, with the sun, if you're at the equator, it's overhead, isn't it? That's its position. It's going to be at a zenith angle. But if even say in Britain, it's never going to get anywhere near there. Even at its most northerly point of GP point, it's never going to attain that position, that relative position in the sky. And all those relatives play out to give you a different shape. That's part of the thing with the Analemma. You can tell where you are.
Yeah, if you know the cycle well enough, you can tell where you are.
Yeah, well, let's wait a second. I want to make sure I know where I'm at. So let me go 12 months. I still am 3 months. I don't know where I'm at. Let me just draw the sun here.
That's cute.
Yeah, but you'll know by the angle to the sun.
Yeah.
At that time when you know at that time of year the angle to the sun, that'll tell you.
Yeah.
You know, that kind of thing.
Yeah.
You're clearly not as patient as me, QA.
It'll tell you roughly, right? It's not going to tell you right where you're at.
The point I'm making there is that it's distinct.
Yeah.
For each position. A bit like your own celestial globe. They all have to be built specifically for your geographic position to make them relevant. All of these things are relevant to your place on the plane.
Sure.
How you view the celestials. Yeah.
Yes, it depends on where you're at on the plane. Exactly. It's a bowling pin. Yeah? Yes? Looks like a bowling pin to me.
All right, John. Evening. Refracted.
Oh, Refracted's here? I didn't hear any kids in the background. What's up?
They're all taking a nap. I figured I'd get in here. I listened to the presentation. Good job, Brian. Just one thing. Are we giving them a model, or are we still waiting on that model?
Brian gives them the model so he can destroy it.
It's only a model of a very small part of it. It's not.
Nathan likes to use the word model too, or whatever.
Sorry, Neil.
Yeah. And Brian, you say Ptolemy one more time, I'm going to take a contract out on you. It's Ptolemy. The P silent for fuck's sake! Like the F is silent.
Oh, I gotta ask Brian a question. There was a name Balboa in that presentation on the first page you were reading. The Seas
Yeah.
of Balboa.
Oh,
I
brother.
had no idea Rocky Balboa had a C.
Well, you do. You know now.
Thanks, Neil.
He has got a C, isn't it?
Neil,
It's just
you ought to
before the
hush,
K
Ollie.
and after the O.
Neil, you ought to hush. All the people were Italians and working in Rome, so.
All right, Betty, did this do it for you or what? You satisfied?
Can I make my own comments?
Yes.
Yeah, thanks. Thank you, Brian, for making this presentation. It's really good to see where Kepler got it from, because astrology is different than astronomy, right? And you know, for me, the 12 months is also that giveaway that it's from God, that God put this in this place, 12, and
Yeah.
also
12 houses, 12
I
months. Yes.
feel it, and the 666 sort of feels pretty well done by the devil to deceive us, right? I also put in a video here in, I think that people already watched this woman then acting that her head is the earth, and she holds up a ball in front of a light that might be the sun, and that ball is the moon, right? And she sort of turns around, and you see that the lit that time. But when there's a new moon and the moon is not visible, then it's supposedly somewhere before the sun, right? So that we sort of don't see the moon. And I'm thinking, huh? That's totally weird, right? It doesn't add up. And many things don't add up. And if you really think about it, and you pointed that out with the ellipsis, they needed the ellipsis, but it still doesn't work, does it? I mean, when you have
Well,
longer distances to the north and to make it summer, because the Earth is tilted that way, but also later on, I don't buy it. It's all contrived, right?
well, it is the best that Kepler could do with
Yes.
Copernican model. That is the best thing. That's why every other part of our heliocentric model comes from that. It might have supposedly turned up from Copernicus, but it was Kepler who made it work. Copernicus was like the architect. Kepler was like the engineer, if you want to put it that way. And that's why their globe has to be further away from the sun in northern summer, because the sun is observed to be higher in the sky and closer into their sun in the southern summer, because the sun is observed to be closer in the sky to the earth in the southern summer. So it's just a back engineering of reality, Betty. That's all it is. None of it actually makes any sense. There is no actual observation for it. When they observe something in the sky, they observe it tonight, and then the next night it's in a different position. They don't observe the change from one position to the next. They observe it moving tonight in the sky, but they don't observe it changing its position. They are just the next night it's different. It's the same thing as you watching having a projector and having different slides. If you had a moving slide, a slide that moves on the projector, and then you take that out, put in another slide where the same things are happening, but the positions are slightly different. That's what they have. Nobody sees any of this actually happening. You know, so it is the whole thing is a fraud.
Yeah, it's sort of a trick, basically. It's sort of a parlor trick, right, that they pull here. Because if you also know that the moon and the stars move simultaneously, we watched that in sort of video, right? Remember that? Quantum
Yeah.
laser?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, the heliocentric killer.
I would think so, because then that whole thing doesn't come out well, right? Because the way Kepler sort of saw it with all these circles and these planets, but the stars move at the same rate as the moon does. So we have a problem here, Houston, right? It's contrived in many ways, and also what they say is that the sun can reach the light of the moon on the other side of of the Earth. So they always claim that the Earth also has a sort of shadow on. But when the sun is on the other side and the moon is on the other side, and the Earth is supposedly in between, it still lights up the full moon because the moon is so far out. And I'm thinking, huh? And then they contradict themselves in other places with all that because they can sort of discover like planets, but they can't discover planets behind something, right? And I'm thinking, what? What? It's yeah, it's weird, totally weird. And also, what I
Can I?
don't
You're just not accounting.
feel is right is sorry for the last thing that I want to say. That whole tilt of the Earth, that's sort of extraordinary. We don't see that, or they claim not to see it in any other like star system, whatever they discovered. The planets, it's all different, right? They all turn in different ways, but not at a tilt. And how can that tilt be so perfect while it's being flung around, right, in ellipses, and it still is steady like it is?
The only reason it's perfect, Betty, is because it's only mathematical.
Exactly, yeah.
That's the only reason it's perfect, because mathematically it's all perfect, but realistically it's all wrong. Because the tilt is only a necessity to explain the seasons. That's all it is. And, that's all it is. So, sorry, John, you want to say
They
something?
do a sharp job of explaining that with the tilt of the Earth. I'm totally convinced.
Well, just
Well, if
for
you'll
Betty,
give
just one
me
last thing. Sorry, John, go on. Just 1 second, John. Just
no,
so
go
Betty
ahead.
just very quickly. In astronomy, when it comes to doing anything, they take the tilt away. It's all done from the equatorial plane, and that plane extends out into and it's all pre-assumed to be at equinox. And they extend that equatorial plane, which is a big flat disk to the center of their globe, and they extend that out, right, into the celestial plane, which means it becomes a bigger flat plane. So everything they do in astronomy, they're using a massive flat plane. And then they just add globe back in. Kind of like when surveying, where they go and measure everything off a horizontal plane, and all the verticals and all the horizontals are parallel, then they add in ore. Do you know what I mean? Same thing. They're just adding in globe.
Yeah.
Thanks, John.
Superchat.
Superconductor, Superfly.
Roger Ledwell again. He's your biggest fan today.
I'm telling you.
Yeah, Brian couldn't. I couldn't have done it better. That's what he said.
Thank you, Roger.
Thanks, Roger. Betty, you got a heckler in BALLBUSTERS.
I saw it, yeah, but I mean, you saw the same thing that I seen in that little video, the little footage, right?
Who you asking?
Well, you said that about the heckler, so you might know what it's talking about. So I'm talking to you.
Superchat.
Superfluid, superconductor.
Vlad on 0 degrees. That's Mighty Moose, right? Special thanks to Brian and shout out to everyone in Discord and YouTube.
Thanks, Vlad.
Shout out to you too.
Shout outs. Shutting up. Well, go ahead. He's in here. Bacon the F ear. Go ahead, you and Betty.
Maybe you should find that footage again, and then we can sort of show him.
I don't have to find it. It's not going to take long.
Is Bacon going to make his point?
I was trying to correct Science on something she said. The moon doesn't move as fast as the stars in the sky. The moon is slower. The stars move a little quicker, and that's it.
Really?
Really?
Yeah, of course.
That's amazing. That sounds like a claim. Can you support that shit?
I was just gonna say, how do you
Sure.
know?
I mean, if it didn't move as slower than the stars, its position would be the same relative to the stars, and it's not. It changes every day. So, like, if you want to time how long it takes for the moon to reach the same spot in the sky from one day to the next, it takes more than 24 hours. If you do that with a star, it takes less than 24 hours. So it's not the same It's not the same pace.
Oh, really?
But
But right here it is in my video.
Where it is? Let me see.
We're not going day to day. This is 30 minutes.
Yeah, the difference is
We're
not that
talking
great,
about,
but
the ground
the moon is
position.
slower.
I don't care if it's slower or lower.
This is lower.
I don't give a shit
the
about
moon doesn't
lower.
move as.
It might change its position, but that's not speaking to its velocity.
He said slower, Kiwi.
I thought he said
Yeah,
lower.
he's talking about the ground position. No, he's talking about the ground position as you measure it day to day. It's the ground position is changing slower relative to the stars.
Oh, I was actually talking about its position in the sky, but what you said is also true. I mean, the same thing goes for the ground position.
You need to get that other footage where you can see stars. Remember with the guy that we follow, the 5-acre pond guy.
Oh, that one. I didn't save
Yeah,
that one.
because then you can see the stars moving along over a time period of a night, I think, that it moves at the same rate.
Oh, and by the way, thank you for destroying the heliocentric model there, Bacon, because you're saying the stars and the moon is moving, so the Earth is stationary. Thanks, by the way.
Super chat. Super chat.
Superfluid,
talking about the-
superconductor, superintendent.
And another super chat.
Yeah, and the
We got-
Superfly.
All right, first one is from Nathan Oakley. He said, "You all are ace." Thank you, Nathan.
Oh, thank
And
you, Nathan.
Gordzilla 37 sent, "Except for me, I'm more like a 9 of spades." And then we've got Sasha. He sent super S Gordzilla, comma, I don't know what the rest is.
Yeah.
All right, what was I going to say?
Well, I will say.
Go ahead. Go
I was
ahead.
just going to say, if you'll grant, if you'll grant me the. Can you hear me?
Oh, boy. Holy shit. Go ahead.
I was going to say, if you'll grant me that you can get an elevation angle from a curved surface, then I can explain all this stuff to you.
So wait a second. I got a question. If the Earth is rotating, we're standing at a particular point. If it's the Earth rotating and the stars and the moon that are stationary, how in the hell are the stars moving faster than the moon?
You're giving it a either or. If everything's in motion at different speeds, then that can be
No,
explained.
in their paradigm, the moon is moving. In their paradigm, the moon is
Opposite of
moving.
parallax. They can't claim parallax there because the stars should be moving slower than the moon
Why?
because they're farther away on the heliocentric Baltard model.
So?
So do you not understand how parallax works? When you're driving on a freeway, the lines next to your car move much faster than trees in the distance. It's parallax. So the things in the distance that are farther away should move slower. Now, back to your claim, the moon, stars, sun, all
I can
move.
answer that already.
Yeah, but you're claiming the sun, the moon, the stars all move because of Earth's rotation, but they all move at different speeds. So how's the Earth moving at different speeds for all these observations?
Oh, it's not. You have the rotation of the Earth plus the motion of these bodies. The moon being closer, as you just mentioned, it has more parallax. It's going to move more than the stars because it's closer. As
On my video,
as the
it's
moon
not.
rotates.
That's
Sorry?
not correct.
That's not correct.
Bacon.
Yeah,
We
the
just
moon
wit-
the
we
moon doesn't
just-
have to move as much
We
to
just
change its
witnessed
position in the
it.
sky.
We just witnessed it. I just showed everyone. Like, you're going to tell them not to believe their lying eyes?
Bacon, you got that backwards in your own rhetoric. Rethink it.
Your rhetoric is wrong.
Oh, why did I
in
got
the
that?
heliocentric rhetoric, the moon is moving, but it's moving west to east as well as the rotation of the heliocentric globe within that paradigm. So
Exactly.
So it is moving, but it's moving with the rotation of the globe. This
Yeah,
globe
which
is
would
moving at
slow
the
us down to.
sidereal rotation. Just let me throw it out to the audience. Within that paradigm, the globe is rotating at a sidereal rotation, which means the globe is rotating at the same rate as the star. We observe the stars moving. The sun, the sun is moving at a different rate than that, slightly different rate than that, which makes it kind of a 4-minute difference at the end of each day. And the moon is moving, but it's orbiting the globe, but it's orbiting west to east, along with the globe rotating west to east. That's what gives the three motions.
Yeah, the motion of the stars in the sky for the globe isn't related to parallax. They would be too far for parallax to do anything from a
Well, they're
globe
not
standpoint.
moving. They're not moving, and neither is the sun within that paradigm. The only thing that's moving is the globe rotating and the moon orbiting. Within that paradigm,
That's
the
my
sun and
point.
stars aren't moving.
My point is that parallax is not what creates the apparent motion of the stars in the globe. That's why Nathan Thompson's response makes no sense.
Well, you can't have parallax. You can't have parallax because parallax requires the pre-assumption of a flat plane.
Wow, how?
How do you do parallax without a flat plane?
It's a elevation.
Why would the shape of the Earth
it's
impact on
elevation
parallax?
change.
Because you can't do parallax without a flat plane. You must either take the 2 points on a globe that you're going to be doing that you're going to be using for parallax, and you do a straight line through them as a chord, or use the equatorial plane if you're going to be doing it from the equator, or pre-assume the globe to be a flat plane and then add R in afterwards. That's how you do your parallax.
Where the observers are standing on for parallax to exist is irrelevant. You can glue two cameras on a basketball and have parallax with those cameras. It doesn't mean the basketball have to be a flat plane.
You have to have a flat plane for parallax. You have to have a flat plane for the final result. You requires a flat plane between the two observers.
Are you saying if I glue two cameras on a basketball, there's no parallax for that camera? Well, let me get to the end of the question.
Let me tell you what the camera is. The tilt of the camera is an angle off of that flat plane. That's your angle line off the flat plane. I'm trying to explain it to you. You need to research what parallax is.
Yeah, I
know what parallax is.
Right, guys.
Hold on a second. Hold on. Adam.
This is the problem.
Adam.
Super chat.
Oh, okay. This is getting fucking ridiculous. Well, first we're going to do the super chat. Adam, you're going to get your spill, and then we're going to allow Bacon. Okay? So, super chat first, quick.
Roger Ledwell, he said, one more thing. Bye-bye, ball.
Yeah. Thank you. Adam, please, floor is yours.
Okay, we've got a category error. Yeah. We've moved from parallax of the stars, which should be observable. They're all at different distances and different sizes, even at different speeds, so there should be parallax there, to a pre-assumed way of measuring parallax if we jump on a ball and assume orbits, and then assume that when we take flat Earth elevation angles to those stars at a 6-month interval in the same place, that this is a measurement of parallax. This is not a measurement of parallax. This is part of the heliocentric charade to redefine parallax. Not parallax. However, I would like to interpret that if you take elevation angles 6 months apart from the same place, that will demonstrate parallax only in the heliocentric model.
Bacon.
Yeah, I wasn't talking about that. Yeah, we're talking about the parallax of the moon relative to the stars.
Yeah,
not the stars themselves.
Hold on, Brian. Brian, hold on. Allow him to finish, please. Brian, go ahead, Bacon.
Thanks. You can simply take, for example, the corrections in celestial navigation. There's only one celestial body where you apply parallax correction. That's the moon. That's not the stars. That's not the sun. You only apply that to the moon.
You want to take it?
Right.
I will.
We were through that before. We went through that before Bacon. That problem was solved. You came on here before, Another QE Live, going back some months ago, we went through that and that problem was solved, what you just pointed out. It's like you're reasserting the same thing again, even though that thing was shown to not be what you thought it was back then. When you're supposed to be proving what you're saying about parallax. You claim it doesn't require a flat plane. I'm pointing out that it does at all times require a flat plane.
Why?
Because it's
angles.
an angle, my God.
Well, you don't have to.
You need to
Parallax
research it, Bacon, because obviously you haven't. I don't.
Hold on,
No,
hold on, Bacon. Brian, finish up.
Yeah, he needs to research what it is he's claiming and what parallax actually is. That's what he needs to do. It always requires a flat plane, regardless of what the way you're going to try and do it.
Parallax is not about elevation. You can have parallax horizontal. You can have parallax vertically. You can have parallax in whatever direction.
Which parallax
for example, if you're just parallax, you don't have to be dealing with vertical angles.
Which one? Which one are you claiming?
Just parallax in general.
No,
the angle
not
to.
You just named out. Sorry, Bacon. You just named out how you can have it horizontally and vertically in different ways. Which one of those are you claiming? You came in here claiming parallax. I said it requires a flat plane. Which one of those are you claiming?
I wasn't actually claiming parallax. I was explaining the relative motion of the moon to the stars and the globe, because it was claimed that they were moving the same pace, and they're not. That was my claim.
Really?
What you're talking about now wasn't my claim.
You got the parallax, and when I said you're going to need a flat plane for that, you denied it.
Yeah, I don't see why you need a flat plane. You all the argument I heard is that you're relating parallax strictly to elevation angles and under your guy's position.
No, I'm talking about parallax. I'm talking about different. You said parallax of the moon in comparison to the stars. That's what you said a few minutes ago, right? If I remember correctly what you said. So which parallax are you referring to? Saying just parallax is vague. It doesn't tell us anything. Just parallax.
Okay, I can go with vertical.
Brian,
so
could I
vertical parallax. Go on, madam. Yeah.
No, we've
got. I mentioned parallax because they're responding to.
Stop, Adam. Then Bacon.
We've now got a third definition that's being introduced. If we're gonna, so like I said, you've got the heliocentric viewpoint to prove parallax 6 months apart, where suddenly two elevation angles are the demonstration of parallax. We've got the original definition of I'm looking at two different things at different distances rotating, and their relative positions will change. Yeah, that what parallax is, hence the name from Rowbottom. Yeah, and now what we're also talking about is the parallax of looking at one object when we're talking about the moon from two different geographic positions. Now that is also true. This is how you can tell the time. Which we're interchanging here, and we've got three different ones. What are we talking about? Actual stellar parallax, or how we can use lunar parallax to tell the time, or proof of heliocentrism 6 months apart parallax?
Bacon.
Yeah, none of them.
None of them.
Yeah, we're not talking about none of those things.
Well,
So
Bacon, maybe
you need to define what.
No, Nathan brought it up.
No, but you've got the point. So when you're making your point, when you say the word parallax, and I'm not attacking you, I'm asking for you to be Socratic here to define. You can see I'm confused with the discussion. Yeah. What is your point? Start with what parallax means, then make your point, please.
Yeah, parallax is simply this difference in the position where you observe an object because of its distance. So as it was exemplified, if you're traveling, you're looking to mountains far away, you have to move more for the positions of those mountains to change compared to things that are closer to you. That's parallax. It's how the angle changes based on how far those things are.
Yeah, that's horizontal. Yeah.
Oh, that's whatever. It doesn't have to be horizontal. You can move up and down, and the mountains are also
but with mountains and that,
than nearby objects. It doesn't matter the direction you're moving.
No, with mountains and that, if you're talking about what you're just talking about there, that requires it to be a horizontal parallax. With mountains,
there's
talking about with the moon, you said vertical.
There's no difference between a horizontal
So
and vertical price. It's just all parallax. There's nothing fundamentally that changes if you're changing the angle horizontally or vertically. Simply further objects, the angle is going to change
There is the
less
sun.
than closer
You know,
objects. Doesn't matter what direction you're moving.
So now we've got terrestrial parallax with
we've got
terrestrial
pre-assumptions of
objects and the
distances
observer
as well.
moving. Yeah. And the parallax between two terrestrial objects and the observer moving. That's what we're now talking about, yeah?
I don't know, we're categorizing this
I'm
much
just trying
because
to.
that
I'm
was
just
not
trying
even
to be.
something I brought up.
Yeah. Well, you did just then. That was your definition. I'm trying to follow what you're
responding to
saying. You
Nathan.
said that. Put it to you for you to define what parallax means to you.
I
That's
just did.
all. Yeah. So it's you moving and two terrestrial objects is how you defined it.
Oh, you don't have to be moving.
How
You
their
have
relative
two observers, for
positions.
example.
Yeah. How their relative positions can change as you change your position relative to them two, which are at different positions. That's fine. That will be equivalent to stellar parallax, the thing that should occur that doesn't occur in the night sky. That one.
I don't know how you verify that.
Also, Bacon, you haven't responded to. You claim everything in the sky moves because the Earth is rotating. The Earth rotates at one speed, but we have different speeds for the sun, the moon, and the stars.
Yeah, I didn't say everything moves just because of Earth's spin. That's one component of all those motions, but there's more stuff moving. You have the motion of the Earth itself, not just the spin, and you have the motion of the other bodies, like the moon. You have the motion of the solar system relative to the stars. I never attributed all the motions to this one thing, which is the Earth's spin. If that was the case, if that was my claim, it would be right. That was simply not my claim.
Yeah,
I mean, Brian himself said it, that on the globe, the moon moves around the Earth, for example. So that's another movement. So you wouldn't expect the moon to move at the same pace as the stars.
Meanwhile, I'm showing a video on YouTube showing the moon and the stars all moving in unison while you're saying that. It's perfect. Please continue.
Well, it's not exactly the same.
Yeah, it is
Otherwise,
exactly.
the position.
Yeah, it is. It's exactly the same,
But
yes.
That's obviously not the case. Like,
It's obviously the case. It's obviously the case. We're watching it right now.
Well, let me give you one example.
I'm playing it on my YouTube channel right now. Let's give you an example. Are you retarded? That's a serious question.
Not
Are you
exact.
retarded?
No.
Yeah, you are. To my audience, you are. Because you're exposed right now.
All right. Well, there's the pace is similar. So if you just watch them for a couple minutes, you might not notice the difference.
Oh, we might not notice. So we can't believe our lying eyes then, is what you're saying.
No, you can't. Just wait long enough. It's easy. From one day to the next. Hang on, let me just answer that. From one day to the next, the difference is obvious. Because, for example, it takes more than 40 minutes extra for the moon to return to its position compared to the stars. It's more than 40 minutes from one day to the next.
That's
so
not
obviously they can't
dealing
be...
with the speed, you numpty dipshit. You're talking
What?
about position. We're back to the same thing. Same point. You're talking about two different things in 8 different categories.
What do you mean?
Yeah.
Oh my God. What do I mean? Piss off, you clown. About that. That's what I mean. Numpty dipshit. Go ahead, superfluid. Good God.
Roger Lidwell, again, he said, one more time, bye-bye ball.
Thanks, Roger.
And also shout out,
Can
shout out to Lunatic for the video you're showing.
Don't be shouting people out
can
that
I
I
just
haven't
point
shouted
out-
out yet.
Can I just point out two pre-assumptions that's being made here?
Oh, yeah, the distance to the stars and the moon. Yeah. Can you do that?
Well, there's more than that.
Yes,
more-
I
it's more than
know.
that.
I know. I got it. So let's deal with the first one.
Oh.
Bacon. What's the distance to the moon? Validate. And then what's the distance to Andromeda? Validate, please.
I gotta include the distance to Andromeda. The distance to the moon I measured to be, let me see if I still have it around here. Just a sec. Oh, my measurement used a globe assumption, but I got.
Oh, we can't do that.
I know. I mean, so I don't expect you to accept this distance, but I measured to be 360,000 kilometers.
360.
You didn't measure.
You didn't measure that.
You calculated it. It's not
Yeah.
a measurement.
Yeah, the final value didn't came directly through my sextant because it measures angles. But as I said, I used the globe assumption to
You
determine the
measured.
distance.
You measured what? Did you say sextant?
Yeah.
How in the hell are you measuring distance with a sextant of the celestials?
Oh no, I measured an angle with the sextant.
Yeah.
What I did was to determine the distance using the globe assumption, as I told you.
No. All you got is an elevation. All you got is an elevation angle to the celestials. That doesn't
Right.
have anything to do with distance. Are you trying to solve a right angle triangle to the celestials?
Not a right angle triangle. There was a triangle I was saving for to get this, but
It's not a
that's
right
not
angle
right
triangle.
one.
What is an elevation
Yeah.
angle? Let's stop here. What is an elevation
It's an angle above horizontal.
It is not.
It's an angle
That's
above
not what
horizontal.
an elevation angle is, Sunshine. Define an elevation
Well, correct
angle.
me then.
If you overtalk
the
me
way I
one
define
more
it is-
time, I'm going to stomp a damn mud hole dead in your ass. Define an elevation angle, Sunshine.
Me?
Yeah, you.
Yeah, as I just said, what I call an elevation angle is just an angle above a horizontal.
Not what you call. What is the definition of an elevation angle? Not what you call it.
Yeah, that's the definition I'll give you.
No, I don't want your definition. I want the definition of an elevation angle.
Well, they're not the definition. They're books defining using different words.
No, there isn't.
You're gonna find different words for the same
No,
thing.
there
Yeah.
isn't. No, you're full of shit. You know what you're doing? That's a law of identity violation.
Are you saying
Okay, let me
dictionaries are going
just
to
go
double
with-
speak about the same word?
No, I'm not
Right.
saying they double speak, but they're not
Okay,
gonna
but
use
what's
the
the
exact same
definition?
sentence every time.
Oh my God!
Okay,
you
let me-
fucking clown.
I can read the
I
first
don't-
one
I
I
don't
found on
think
Google. It
anybody's
says pretty much the
expecting you-
same thing as I did, which is I can read the first one I found on Google. That's pretty much the same thing as I did.
Oh, really?
Just not word by word.
Same thing
Yeah.
as you did. Okay, go ahead.
It's an angle formed by a line of sight and a horizontal plane for an object above the horizontal.
There you go. Where you get a horizontal plane on a globetard?
I used a pot of water.
You used a pot of water.
I used a pot of water.
You used a pot. Just say that one more time. You use a pot of water.
I missed the punchline.
All right, listen. Horizontal lines don't have slope. Your globe would have a slope, buddy.
That was pretty
Okay.
funny. You used a pot of water. That was really good. That was classic. Somebody might want to.
Water's horizontal.
I think he said plot.
to define a level.
A pot with water in it.
A pot of water. Yeah, I got it.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So
that's
how does a pot of
stupid.
water? How does a pot of water change the fact you use horizontals, which don't exist on a globe or don't exist on a globetard religion? But how does a pot of water solve that?
Oh, I'd say the surface of that water is pretty damn horizontal.
Oh wow! You're trolling, dude. That's
You gotta be a numpty dipshit.
It's just like, come on.
You guys disagree with that? I thought you guys would
I just
accept
think
it.
you're funny. I just think
the
you're
surface
being
of the pot
funny.
of water is horizontal.
Oh my God.
He's trolling.
See, I thought he
Tuesday
said,
night. It's comedy night. And the floors with bacon. Off you go. Carry on.
Go on, Flashy. I'll go ask.
I really thought you guys would agree with me here.
sorry, Logan.
No, go ahead.
I thought you said plot of water, like PLOT.
No, pot.
You said pot of water.
Yeah, like a bucket.
That's it, like a bucket.
I might be picking the wrong word here.
Wow.
It's a metal pot just filled with water to get the moon's reflection because I don't have a ocean horizon, so I improvise with an artificial horizon. That's pretty standard
With
practice.
artificial horizon with a marine sextant, really? Okay, so you said elevation angle. Isn't elevation angle a right angle triangle?
Why are we?
Hold on, Adam.
No.
Hold on, Adam. Is an elevation
just an
angle a right angle triangle? Yes or no?
No.
Okay, from.
It's just after the.
All right, Brian, I got this. I got it.
No, his own definition debunks him.
Angle of elevation from GeoGebra. This looks like a right angle triangle to me with 90 degrees. Anywhere else? This looks from GeoGebra too. The angle of elevation. This looks like a right angle triangle to me. Interesting. From GeoGebra again. Explore angles of elevation and depression. Elevation angle. This looks like a right angle triangle to me, sir. And you're saying no? You're exposed.
Well, I can't see what you're seeing.
Well, dude, get on YouTube.
Doesn't matter. Like,
get on
doesn't really matter what
YouTube.
it seems
It
like to
does
you.
matter. Shut your fucking mouth.
Superchat.
Angles of elevation.
Yeah.
This looks like two right angle triangles to me.
Yeah. A triangle is a polygon.
Well, yeah, you
An
said
angle is an
no.
angle.
So, we're at the University or the Pacific Institute of Mathematical Sciences. The angle of elevation. This looks like a right angle triangle to me. Yeah? That's what it looks
Is there
like.
any citation that says that elevation angles are right angle triangles? Or is that just what it looks like to you?
This is a right angle fucking triangle, you moron!
Oh, I can't see what you're seeing. Can you?
I just
share
told
screen or
you,
something?
look on YouTube. Are we going to have to go over this again? Am I going to have to tell you how to tie your shoes? So, mathonly.com, height and distance with two angles of elevation. These are two right angle triangles, sunshine.
Yeah, but the angle is not the triangle. You asked if the angle
Study.com,
was a right angle
angle of
triangle.
elevation. What is an angle of elevation? It has a hypotenuse, opposite, and adjacent, and a 90-degree angle. This is a right angle triangle. How many is that? 10? Do we have any more? From math space, an angle of elevation is the angle from the lower object to the higher one, while angle of depression is the angle from the higher object to the lower one. Both angles are measured with respect to a horizontal plane. That's another point of order, Your Honor, but we'll get to that. This is a right angle triangle complete with a 90-degree angle symbol.
Well, why are we talking about elevation angles?
From math space
Because I didn't
again.
measure.
From math space again, angle of elevation. This is a right angle triangle. From QMath, what is a 90-degree angle formula? This looks like a right angle triangle to me.
I think that's what he means when he said he assumed it's a globe. He just assumed it's not a right angle triangle. And that's why he's so confused.
Angles
No,
of
yeah,
elevation.
I see. When I Google for angle of elevations, there are some pictures where there's a full triangle being drawn, and some of them are just two lines, which don't form a triangle.
Oh my God,
So
you
the
are a
question wasn't
retard.
if you can have angle of elevation in a right angle triangle.
Bacon,
That's if
read
they were
your,
the
read
same,
your
and
definition
they're
again.
not.
Read your definition again, Bacon. Read the definition you read out from Google.
Right. The angle formed by the line of sight in the horizontal plane for an object above the horizontal.
Exactly. That means that horizontal line extends to below where that angle line is. That's a straight line.
It doesn't say it
vertical.
stops there.
It extends to that point. That's the point. So if you take an angle to a high building and you have a horizontal line, then that horizontal line stretches all the way to underneath where that hypotenuse finishes.
Yeah,
That's
I'm
the
not
point.
disagreeing.
That's a right angle triangle.
I'm not
That's a
disagreeing
right
that
angle
you can form.
That's a right angle triangle.
I
That's what it's
understand
forming.
your claim. I'm not disagreeing that
Not
that's
claim,
forming
it's
a
just
right.
the way it is.
I'm not disagreeing that if you're sighting the top of a building, you can form a right angle triangle there. Obviously, you can do that.
You
That's
said an
the common
elevation
contention.
angle was not
The-
a right
He
angle
simply
triangle.
asked me.
You said A elevation angle was not a right angle triangle. I'm sharing it. Pop in there right now, Numpty.
Bacon, all you have to do
I
is
see
just
it.
concede you were wrong. How hard is that, dude? How hard is it to
About
just
what?
admit you were wrong?
Wrong about what?
You're wrong about, you said a right angle triangle is not an elevation angle. Or an elevation angle is not a right angle triangle. Are you seeing this right here? Angle of elevation, GeoGebra. What is this?
Yeah, the angle is just the angle, not the whole
What
triangle.
is
The triangle
this?
is one thing. The angle is another thing.
What is
They're not the
this?
same
Oh,
thing.
you're saying the angle of elevation is a right angle triangle, though.
No, it's just one of the angles there.
That's what he's saying. No.
I mean, it's
Say it
obviously just
again.
one of those angles.
Say it again.
The angle isn't the full triangle. The angle is not the
The
full
angle's
triangle.
not
It's
the
just one of
full
the angles.
triangle, you fucking numpty dipshit.
I mean, isn't that obvious?
Isn't
An
this
angle is not a
obvious?
polygon.
What is this? Angle of elevation. What is this?
Yeah, the 60 degrees is an angle of elevation. The rest of the thing forms a triangle.
And it
Those
forms
aren't
what?
the same thing.
It forms a triangle. What type of triangle?
Yeah, it forms a right angle triangle.
Thank
But
you
the
very
right
much.
angle
You
triangle
just
itself-
debunked yourself. Good night.
Yeah, the right angle triangle isn't the elevation.
You're done. You're done.
A right angle triangle. You just snatched your own wig off, buddy.
Super chat, super chat.
Super chat. Super fluid. You're done.
Super embarrassing for Bacon.
Roger Ledwell, back when it was about the pot of water, he said, trim that out. And another super chat from Reg Joe 23. He said, it's potty time classic.
Well, the usage of an artificial horizon is pretty
Shut the
standard
hell up.
in celestial
You're
navigation.
fucking done. We ain't listening to your dumbass anymore. I'm protecting
Yeah,
my
so-
audience and my people in here from your dumbassery.
The fact that you can use an artificial horizon. proves-
Don't entertain that horse shit. When he just said, I knew what he was going to do. When he just said an elevation angle is not a right angle triangle, it's done for him. He's over. And then at the end, he said, yes, a right angle triangle is an elevation angle. It's over. No more entertaining his
It's
dumbassery.
the Russian still in. Kiwi.
Say again?
Isn't it?
Sorry,
Yeah,
can I
right.
just
So this is the
point
point
something out?
where you get chewed up. Yeah? The QE will cheer because you've been demonstrated to just be, I don't know, retarded.
Yeah.
Yeah?
Yep.
Super
Fundamentally.
chat.
Super chat again. Hold
Another
on.
one.
Hold on. Adam, we'll get back to you in a second, Brian. I heard you speak up. I know you got another point. Let's do the super chat, and then we're going to get to Matush. Go ahead.
Jadu, he sent QE. Brian Bacon has been told this numerous times on other servers. He keeps coming back with this two-line nonsense. He's a geocentric glober. Okay.
Yeah, so in a right angle triangle, I'm not even. I'm not.
Don't do that.
I'm not going to entertain it anymore.
My point was to say that's where it needs chewing up. Nathan Thomas or whatever came in and said, "Come on, dude, just admit you're wrong. We're all here listening to this guy treading water, yeah, with nonsense. Enough's enough. And if the way to bring it to end is that, brilliant. Because you know what? It deserves a lot ruder. Because what he's doing to us is considerably ruder. Yeah? He's asking our good manners just sit here and just put up with his contradiction and bullshittery. And that's more rude than telling somebody to shut the fuck up. Yeah? And that's actually what they should do.
So let's get Matush. Matush, let's get his take.
Hello?
Yes.
What's up?
We just went through a flying poster child example of me ripping somebody up. Did you listen to it?
Yes.
Do you know the reason why?
Yeah.
Okay.
Because he's acting like he knows something, and then he ends up sounding like he never actually knew anything at all.
Yeah.
But he was claiming he knew what he was talking about.
Yes, a pretender clown fraud. When he first said, when I asked him, are elevation angles right angle triangles? And he said no. And then in the end, what did he say?
He said no still.
No, he
he
admitted, yes, they are right angle triangles. You missed that part.
Oh, in the very end.
Yes, the very end.
Okay, because I saw him looking at your stream and still saying that that it wasn't a right angle triangle at one point.
Superchat.
Superfluid, we'll get back to you, Brian, here in a second.
Booger just said superfluid. Roger Ledwell, again, thanks, Roger Ledwell. Good thing, pay for this, LOL.
Yeah, thanks, Roger. Go ahead, Brian. You had that second point that I didn't want you to get there. I wanted to go on the distance and then the elevation angle and the pot of water. Go ahead, Brian.
Well, just for the audience to know, when Bacon was bringing up parallax, he was pre-assuming two different distances to celestial bodies in the sky. And when he was bringing up speeds and rates over a 24-hour day, he was pre-assuming that what was happening was today we're watching the moon move through the sky, and tomorrow it turns up in a different position. So he's pre-assuming that is a big cycle that happens, and the moon is moving slower than the stars. Whereas all he observes, and this is something I brought up earlier in the presentation, or just after the presentation, sorry, with Betty, I think it was, or Flatsy, all that's observed is tomorrow the stars and the moon and that are in a different position. You don't observe the change. Nobody has ever observed the change. They just observed the difference of position. They don't observe it from one to the other.
Yeah, but that has nothing to do with speed.
What he was claiming, it was connected to what he needed to pre-assume that they were moving at two different speeds, two different rates. And his proof for that was tomorrow the moon will be in a different position. But yet tonight, the moon is moving through the sky and the stars are moving through the sky. Tomorrow, the moon and stars will be moving through the sky, but the starting position will be different for you. As
Yes,
the
I
observer.
understand that, Brian. Thank you for the third time. That doesn't have anything to do with the speed.
Yeah, the two massive problems I saw was assuming distance and then using horizontal, which is the first one. And the second one is using horizontals and assuming a slope-a-dope. Because you think you live on a globetard.
Yep.
Like.
Yep. We got another player. Go ahead, Nathan. Finish up. We got another player.
Go ahead. Let's get him in.
He's already here. Gary Wybanga. Elevation angles are not right angle triangles. Unless the GP of the star is directly over your FOV horizon. Citation, please.
Okay. If I take an angle to Polaris from I'm about 40 degrees in north latitude. Okay?
I don't give a shit. Define elevation angle.
I don't give a shit about what you don't give a shit about. Let me speak a minute, okay? I'm going to explain.
Don't you fucking speak to me that way.
This is his channel.
Do you
bro.
understand me? Do you understand me?
That's why you're
you fucking
I don't
clown.
Give a shit. What do you think? You
fucking clown. I just destroyed one of your partners in here saying elevation angles are not right angle triangles. And what do you come out and do because you're a retard? Say elevation angles are not right angle triangles. So my question to you, sir, are you retarded?
Are you going to let... No,
are you retarded?
You are. You're
not I am.
You won't even listen. You won't even listen.
Why should I listen to somebody that I just destroyed for the past 10 minutes and brought up diagram after diagram showing elevations angles as right angle triangles, but you're going to explain to me how they're not. Citation, please.
Things are wrong. You're measuring...
No, I'm not measuring shit. I want citations and depictions like I had.
Can't you answer a question, or are you just going to...
No, I'm not answering questions on absolute facts.
Just listen a second. I'm just going to explain why it's not.
It's not in the You're retarded.
Kiwi, let's hear him.
We want to hear his explanation of going against a fact of geometry.
I feel like he's got a finely tuned shovel, and he's going to dig a hole, and it's going to be his own grave.
All right.
The geometry of perspective, which is what you're measuring.
Geometry of perspective, I need a citation for that.
What was that?
I have no fucking clue.
What kind of is that? The geometry of
it's far beyond your
that genuinely, dude. You can't carry on from that point when so many people vomit in their own mouths after you've said it. So the geometry of perspective. No. Let's go back to there. Start again.
Graphic view.
Is he still talking? I know he's muted.
Yeah. How do you see? Do you see in perspective, or do you see an orthographic view?
So do I see in geometry? Do
you see in perspective?
So the geometry, right? You can't just put two words together that make sense in your head because you've just put them together right now, right? Without explaining what it means, right? This is not an insult. Just
You
pulling
measure how
back.
you see.
I mean, if you want me to help you, let me just finish my sentence.
No, I'm trying to help
If
you.
you don't,
You're not going to pay
if you
attention.
don't, and you
guys
just probably want to get bombed out because this is not a good start, then carry on the way you're doing. Now,
you just guys right away interrupt.
Gary.
Yeah, I know. You know what? I listen to your guys' shows all the time.
Politely put
I agree with
one
most of the
thing
stuff.
you're
wrong on this.
You don't. I'm not saying you're right or wrong. I'm saying you've used a terminology that made people vomit in the mouth. Right? So, could we just come back? And you've been muted a number of times because you've got verbal diarrhea. Yeah. So, any point you think you've made hasn't been made because you've been muted. So, let's start again. And maybe
I'm not muted.
You have been constantly because you've just not stopped talking.
Because you guys won't let me finish. I have to keep going,
and
otherwise I'll
because
never get it out.
Even now, look, you're over talking me. So I'm trying to help you get your point across. Now, carry on. You won't get my help. Right? So, first of all, just define that thing, that definition, and then move forwards, knowing that, as I said to you, you've not been able to make your point as much as you spoke. You've not been heard. You've been serving me.
Yeah.
So
because
because of this, because you can't just let me finish. Right. So now I'm going to finish. You calmly make your point with something as contentious as that or as undefined as that. Please take a little bit of extra time just to define it before moving forward.
What he's
asking you, Gary.
What he's asking you to define is geometry of perspective. We're going to need a citation with that.
Okay. Geometry and perspective is just you measuring how you see, right? When I measure a light.
I want a citation, not your fucking made-up horseshit, sunshine. Citation for the geometry of perspective right now in BALLBUSTERS text chat, right beneath your message.
You won't even let me speak. You won't.
You could be honest and concede you don't have one. We have a big problem here with Globers just not being honest. Just say you don't have one.
I already said I don't have one.
So you can't use geometry of perspective. It is utterly fucking meaningless. Next point.
Sky to your horizon. Is that perspective?
Holy fucking shit. These people are retarded. You ask them for support, and they're going to try to get a question proof. What's your question proof, numpty dipshit?
Okay. When you're measuring with a sextant, are you...
I was fucking kidding. Because you're a moron. God, are you stupid?
That was beautiful.
OMG, dude.
And you measure how you see.
Jesus.
How you see.
Dude.
You got knocked the fuck out, man!
Super chat.
Super chat, super fluid.
We got it from Reg Joe. He said, this was to Bacon, I'm pretty sure. What he is doing to you is insulting your intelligence. So.
That's respectfully. This is what
chat.
Gary's.
Super chat.
Super chat, super fluid. Shut up, Adam.
It's Reg Joe again. He said, another flat smack, everybody like and share. That's right, Reg Joe.
You can't deal with this. You got people making shit up and then giving a question proof to me on his made up horseshit. I'm going to ask him again, is he retarded? You think it's going to turn out well? Gary White Benga, are you retarded?
I'm sure you think so because you're.
Okay, it's not that I think so. I've shown it. You're a dumbass.
Well, I'm QE. Well, I mean, is that not an appeal to authority? Huey, do you think he's retarded?
Yes.
Because your opinion obviously matters to Gary.
I don't think so. I just demonstrated so. He's not
Gary,
getting
this
it.
is not good news.
No. You want me to
That
let
is
him
pretty
go
funny.
on?
Just think of the psychology of that, right? Asking someone if they're retarded, it's not a concise no. It's, I know you think I'm retarded. Like,
you know what? I goddamn don't know right now.
Okay, let's go to the next one. Gary Whitebank, do you know what an open closed question are, the difference between them? That's what I thought. Back on mute.
That is the perfect answer. Do you know the difference?
We just missed Danny 57.
Oh, hold on, George. Go ahead, Adam.
Well, you can answer that two ways, can't you? Ramble for 10 minutes or total silence.
Yeah.
That demonstrates you don't know the difference.
Exactly. George, go ahead.
No, I was just saying we just missed Danny 57. He was here for a brief second.
Oh, you're kidding me.
Yeah, he was here.
He was here in your last live stream when I was too busy to unmute.
Oh, Betty, you're not keeping up to date on the room.
Again? I mean, come on. Nobody get a word in edgewise. So.
Yeah, Danny 57 was here. At least you could have popped me a message.
I popped you many messages.
But not that one.
No, I sort of see what I do.
Thanks, Betty. Should we let Gary train wreck himself some more?
Right.
yes, please. 4 more hours.
Yes, please.
4 more hours.
Yeah, can you have him say like total sentences instead of halfway sentences?
Well, the halfway sentences were bullshit. That's why I stopped them. So
Yeah,
we're
maybe
not.
at the
So
end,
we're not chasing
there might be
down.
a twist at the end.
So we're not chasing down bullshit for
Don't
days.
shout at me because might be crying soon.
I did say to him, Betty, that he was like, you've got to stop him when you go in your mouth because he's just said something. You know, I can't have that. I can't have that. Yeah? It doesn't matter how you do it. The point needs addressing, doesn't it? That you can't carry on after. We're not here to be mugged off. I'm not trying to be sold a cheap second-hand car. Yeah.
Yeah, I think his response to being interrupted proved it was warranted because he didn't have a citation for his made-up bullshit.
Go ahead, Gary. Go ahead, Gary.
I don't know when I'm muted or unmuted. You guys have me muted, you asshole.
Oh, my God. We're not going to mute you. Betty has appealed, and we are going to let you finish every single one of your bullshit sentences. Okay? Here you go. There you go. Finish your horse shit. Finish your horse shit. You're off mute.
Let's go, Gary.
This is the next thing that happens. My comrade. Yeah. Once they've been demonstrated to have no actual argument, they do this. They appeal to format, and then when given the format, just go silent.
I was talking.
No, you weren't. You had
Yes,
yourself.
I was. I was talking, and you guys couldn't hear me.
Gary,
I could hear you guys. My thing was unmuted.
It
So
was
you
all
must have muted me
quiet.
somewhere.
No, you weren't. We've all seen when you've been server muted. We can all see it, and we can all see when you're muting
My mute
yourself.
button was unmuted. I was talking, and nobody could hear me.
Okay, well, we can hear you now. We can hear you now. Go.
appeal to Discord being corrupt and demonstrating
I
to
didn't appeal
everybody
to
else
anything like that. I
one
just said
thing
I was talking. I
and
wasn't remaining silent like you
one
just claimed.
user
You
demonstrating
just simply
that he
couldn't hear me for some
overtalked.
reason, although I could hear all of you guys.
And then revert back to type, which is
Okay, are
again
you done?
over
Are you done?
talking everybody.
Are you
So
done?
when they're making a point, given plenty of time
Are you
and the
done?
floor, they say nothing. They say
Because
absolutely nothing.
All right, Adam,
And
we heard you.
then
Let him
when
talk.
somebody's
What do
trying to
you
make
got?
a point, they do
somehow
this.
you guys couldn't hear me, even though I
Yeah.
was talking. I could hear all of you saying,
Brilliant
criticizing that I was
demonstration
remaining silent when I
of
wasn't.
tactics.
I was
All they've
talking.
got. All
All
they've
right,
Okay,
Adam.
Huey, question for you.
Adam, shut
Gary.
up, Gary. Adam, relax for a second. Don't mute Adam. Gary, go ahead. Adam, let him have the floor.
Okay, question for you, QE.
No question. Your claim.
All right, somebody just muted.
Yeah, see, this is where you guys are. This is why you guys are lousy debaters. You won't let anybody speak. You won't answer any question. It's a simple question. I know you won't answer it, but the question is,
I'm
do we
not
see
really
it in
interested
perspective,
in
or do we see an
Gary.
orthographic view, QE?
It's silly little tactics.
Okay. Am I muted again?
No, you're just pathetic. You just
No,
said
but
I
you're
would
being
see an
grumpy this
orthographic
time.
view.
No, I asked QE specifically a question. He won't answer it because he knows what the problem is.
What are you on about? You're now delusional. You just ignored what just happened.
I don't have to
You
give a
just
citation.
don't
I'm just asking. It's a
do it.
simple question. Are you afraid to answer a simple question?
No, but what's that appeal to threat fallacy that you just moved us to? What are you
It's just a
doing?
simple question. What are you scared of?
Hey, you don't need QE to answer a question to make your point. Just make your point, dude.
I have, but I need him to acknowledge that we don't see an orthographic view. That's why when I say you measure, you take a sextant,
we
you
don't
measure
see an
you
orthographic
measure the
view.
light in the sky according to your horizon, the way you see it. That's how you measure. That's not orthographic. That's perspective. That's why you don't have any right angle triangles. The light in the sky is far beyond your horizon. You're not measuring to its GP. You're measuring that angle of separation between the light in the sky and your horizon. That's what you're measuring, and it's perspective. That's why elevation angles don't match up with what. That's why you get guys like McTube and STF. He say, "Oh, but I keep getting different elevation angles. If I measure from here, I get this height above the ground. If I measure from here, I get a completely different one. That's because you're."
Totally rumpus in the room.
1 second. Gary, you're showing that you know absolutely nothing about celestial navigation. That's what you're just showing there. You don't understand the measurement. You don't understand the measurement.
It's not an elevation angle with a GP right there at your horizon.
It has to be a right angle triangle.
Listen,
what is the opposite?
No, it
what
cannot be unless the star is directly overhead.
What is the opposite in that right angle? What is that opposite? What is that defined as in that right angle triangle? Navigation.
You're measuring.
Excuse me, I'm speaking that.
Between your horizon.
Excuse me. I tried to ask you something. In celestial navigation, what is the opposite defined as in the right angle triangle?
When you're measuring an angle,
I asked you
a light sky. Let me speak, you ass. Don't be
and you won't answer it because it will destroy.
You won't answer my question.
Destroy your rubbish.
How do we see? Do we measure according to how we see?
I know how we see. I am fully aware of how we see. Excuse me, Gary. I'm fully aware of how we see.
That's the base of the whole thing right here.
I asked you
guys are cowards.
You're unwilling to answer. You're unwilling to answer. I'm not the one who's unwilling to answer.
All right, hold up, guys.
Hold on. We let you speak. Now let Brian speak.
All right, shut up, Neil. Betty, say what you have to say.
I'm saying this is not going to work, guys. I want you guys to talk one after another, right? So please, at least one of you be the best, right? And just shut up and let somebody talk. And then make a point and shut up and then another one talk. How difficult is that? It's not so easy to listen to this, guys.
Yeah, it's difficult. What happened was Brian asked him a question and Gary didn't answer it. He went off to another topic and Brian wouldn't let him go off to another topic. That's why it train wrecked immediately.
Well,
so
let's start over.
So we're gonna try it again. Do you think it's gonna end up differently?
I hope so. One can only hope.
One can only hope. Let's try it again. Brian, please ask him again.
Yes, Gary says that the elevation angle in celestial navigation, sorry about the background noise, is not a right angle triangle. And I asked Gary, what is the opposite of that right angle triangle that he's saying that doesn't exist in celestial navigation? What is that defined as? He's saying it's not a right angle triangle, which means there isn't an opposite. So I'm asking him, what did they define that as in celestial navigation? Or is he claiming they don't define it as anything? Simple. And before he asks, I know we see in perspective, no one is claiming we see an orthographic view. Yeah.
Okay, in order for the elevation angle to Polaris to be
Not in order for, he asked you a specific question. What is the opposite side of the triangle defined as in celestial navigation? This is the third time.
Goodbye. I can't even get my words out.
Yeah, fuck off.
Yeah, he's just being completely dishonest. The opposite side of that right angle triangle is the zenith from the GP to the celestial body, and that has to be parallel with the observer's zenith. And you measure a horizontal distance between those two zeniths, those two parallel zeniths, which are verticals, two parallel verticals. He doesn't know what he's talking about.
That's why he ran off.
Yeah, he doesn't know what he's talking about. Even I heard what he was saying about, I couldn't come in, about perspective. Yes, you are measuring perspective with angles. Geometry, but geometry is not all based around perspective. He can say what he wants about that, right? Right, make some small mistakes there. But when it comes to celestial navigation, he obviously didn't know what he was talking about. And when I asked him a very specific question, which would prove or disprove his position, he decided he's not talking, he's leaving.
Yep.
He wants to answer something he wasn't asked because he's hanging around with a load of ballers all the time. Gary is a flat earther, believe it or not. Well,
shocking.
Oh, it's those flat earthers that are trying to tell us Earth is not flat. Is he one of the Bevites, Brian?
no, Neil, he just doesn't know what he's talking about, like a lot of flat earthers. They don't know what they're talking about. They learn half about something, and then half about something somewhat correct, and then learn the other half incorrectly, either by pre-assumption or learning it from the ballers, and they never have the facts correct, and they go round in circles day after day on Discord. That's what they do. Instead of learning, well, I asked Gary that question. If he was truly interested in learning, he would say, well, there isn't one. And then I'd explain to him that there is one and why it is, what it is, and what the purpose of it is. And then he should go, do you know, I didn't know that. Now I do know. But no, he'd rather stay in ignorance and be awkward and be dishonest. And just be pig-headed about it instead of learning something.
I think that's the problem. Most of them just want to argue.
Yeah. Hit it on the head. They read half a book, think that they've got a point when they've only read half the book, as this guy's just showed. They take an elevation angle, right? It's celestial or terrestrial. Terrestrial's nicer because you've got a GP. What you can then draw a depression angle from it. All of this requires two flat planes, two ground positions, all of which are forming right angles. The fundamentals of the relationship between a depression angle and an elevation angle is that we're forming a cube with four right angled triangles. Yeah. The lack of understanding of what's being demonstrated is shown, and where you think you've got a gotcha, like I said, just demonstrates you've only read half the book, pal. Finish the book and you'll realize your own idiocy. And what's sad?
Superchat.
Oh, good flatsy, you got me.
I got 2 super chats. I've been waiting for a while. I just didn't want to. Sorry, Adam. I love you. We got Reg Joe. He sent, Danny is so brave. He lasted a whole 4 seconds against QE. Yeah, totally. Not a coward.
Danny.
And then, yeah, when Danny popped in.
Oh, he didn't He didn't speak up. He didn't do anything.
Yeah. And then Reg Joe sent another. He said, complain about how the conversation don't answer the question directly, then create audio chaos. Classic rumpus.
Correct. That's exactly what happened. Yep.
Well, the thing about it is, I bet you Gary Webenga is losing the celestial navigation debate every day against the ballers because he doesn't Nobody's talking about it. And even if he thinks he's just getting some agreement off them, they know that they're winning by what they're telling him, and him saying, oh, well, an elevation angle is not a right angle triangle, right? Not realizing that in celestial navigation and in everything else, all elevations are right angle triangles. Right, in celestial navigation, you're not solving for the right angle triangle, you're using it differently, but it's still a right angle triangle, and it's used.
By making the definition that it's an elevation angle, you create depression angles, you create GPs, yeah. Now in celestial, you create a theoretical point of this supposed position because we're dealing with a celestial object, but in terrestrial, we're creating an actual physical point. We're creating right angles, left, right, and center. It's the premise of the geometry that's going to resolve it to give us the information we need. I'm going to say, in the statement of elevation angle, it tells you what that angle is in relation to. It's part of a right angled triangle. That's why it's an elevation angle, not just the size of the slice of cake I'm getting.
Exactly. I mean, they're just not. I mean, he'll sit there on Discord and agree with Baller saying it's not a right angle triangle because it suits them. They can't have it. This is the thing about it. In their paradigm, it's still a right angle triangle. They just don't know that. They didn't research their own paradigm concerning the celestial navigation. They think it's not a right angle triangle. They don't understand their own paradigm. I pointed this out. And the celestial navigation claims just because it's measuring an arc length afterwards doesn't mean it's not been made into a right angle triangle to begin with. It's still a right angle triangle. They just don't know what they're talking about.
Yeah,
and Gary is over there with other flat earthers. Go on, Kiwi.
Now I'm saying, yeah, but the biggest problem is I sat here for at least 5 minutes going through citation after citation after diagram with all of them stating elevation angles with a right angled triangle right beneath it. So what level is this now?
And even as well as them, what Bacon's own definition meant that the horizontal had to extend all the way to underneath the object. That's a right angle triangle. He's literally laying out a right angle triangle because the vertical then will be the opposite. And
sorry, Brian.
I'm finished. It's just in this belief.
Even if you're going to deny that if he comes straight down to the plane that you're measuring from, right, you've still got to accept that to create the angle itself, point of reference is the plane that you're going to navigate upon. Yeah, to pretend it. No, you know what you could do? You could go from the position of the star and just go off at some nonsensical angle instead of perpendicular to the plane you're at, and have just some weird angle. It makes no sense whatsoever in geometry. And I'm sure when they were first thinking about celestial navigation, they thought, how should we do this? Use an angle that's perpendicular to the plane, therefore we can calculate other things from it, or just throw it off at any obscure degree. This is just a demonstration of a complete lack of the understanding of geometry when he presents this argument. The fundamentally being you can just have an angle. It is a very bev. You can do nothing with an angle, it's just an angle. Even here, he's saying that the baseline of the angle is flat.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say, Adam. They can't talk about triangles. Hell, they can't even talk about an angle singularly because they can't get an angle from a curved level. That doesn't make sense.
Yeah, but in celestial navigation, you need two right angles because after your reading, you have the co-altitude angle, which is also a 90-degree angle.
That's what Brian was saying. That's how Brian cornered him.
Yeah, that's how Brian ended him.
Yeah, in other words, yes.
But that's like after, you can't even get the first angle if level is curving. But you won't get a angle, let alone three angles to form a triangle. Was that his argument?
No, they're all saying that an elevation angle is not a right angle triangle. They have to say that.
Well, it's irrelevant. It's an angle, though, isn't it?
Well, particularly elevation angle, if we're arguing in regards to a flat Earth, then the adjacent must be horizontal. There's no other way. You can't get an elevation. That's what an elevation angle is. In comparison in comparison to the hypotenuse, right? You can't. There's no other way. That's what it is. Go ahead, Adam. Sorry.
No, sorry. I thought you'd done, mate. Trying to disconnect the surface that you navigate on to the horizontal line that you're referencing. Okay. Because they can't have it the same, can they? Because in their paradigm, it's not the same. So the only way, tonight's good example, is to create confusion. Because no, it can't. Right. So in celestial navigation on a ball, the point of intersection of the GP can never be a right angle unless it's North Pole to equator. Yeah, that's it. So in their paradigm, they have to make this disconnect that somehow the fundamentals of triangles, which is the underpinning of celestial navigation, is broken, either because it's a curved baseline or the point of intersection with the surface isn't the straight baseline that's referencing to generate the angle. It's one or two. Better the devil they try to deny both devils. Do you understand? that disturb them, rather, and create disruption and admit either. Ramble over.
Right, but they can't even get into the basics of geometry or measurement because that horizontal must be your eye level or the surface level. They're wanting to curve it though, which excludes them from the conversation.
Well, what they actually do is when they create a tangent, this is mathematically, not what they do in reality.
You're talking about, make sure you identify who they are, the anti-flat earthers, because that's different than Gary. Because Gary, you said he was a flat earther. Make sure you identify the people group you're talking about, Brian.
Yeah, I will do. In people who do celestial navigation and believe they're on a globe, what they actually do is they create a tangent, right, mathematically, and they have an angle to a celestial body. But that tangent stretches all the way to the horizon, and the horizon is lifted up out as a refracted position up to meet that tangent. And that tangent stretches all the way through the horizon, all the way to underneath that celestial body, and then there's a straight vertical up to that celestial, a straight line up to that celestial body, right? That is, they create a right angle triangle. They then take that right angle triangle and they bring it down, so it's so the base of it, adjacent of it, is down at their equatorial plane, and it stretches out into their celestial plane. That's what they do, and that also brings down the celestial body. So then they can take that angle where that celestial body is then in a straight line to the center of their globe. That will be the point on their arc that the distance will be. So from the observer to that point, and that's how they measure that arc, right? But it's not how they calculate the arc. It's not a measurement, right? But that's what they must do. But that all happens after the right angle triangle from what they think and what they want to have people believe is a tangent. So they don't have just two straight lines meeting at a vertex. They have a right angle triangle that they then move down. So they end up with two. They're saying it's not a right angle triangle. If you look at what they actually do, they have two right angle triangles. Do you know what I mean? It's so stupid, but they deny it.
No, they don't. You described it right. So you know what we do? They create their tangent plane on the top of their ball, wherever they're stood, because that's the top. And then they transpose that tangent plane down to the center, take it to hell, and then the same angle they've used where that intersects on the sphere that they've imaginarily created, which is based on R, because to change the R, change the point of intersection, and then take that and calculate it there as the point of intersection. Okay? Because they have to incorporate R with the angle. So that's how they take it. Right? So there is no right angle triangle ever from them. They've just got an angle to infinity, right? That they take from their tangent plane, and then they take that angle to infinity to a presupposed center point of a presupposed sphere, and it's that point of intersection with the presupposed sphere that then X marks the spot. Now, Occam's razor, or we've got triangles, and where it comes down is the distance, is the GP.
Yeah, but that's the second step, isn't it? The first step with the sextant, when you look at the horizon through the scope, you are looking at 180 degrees left to right or right to left, yeah, a horizontal line. And you bring the celestial through the celestial mirror right in the middle, meeting that horizontal at the tangent point, which is just kissing the horizontal at 90 degrees. When you reach that, you say mark. That same 90 degree you just measured, you're going to have to deduct your angle from it in order to find the co-altitude angle. But the very first measurement is 180 degrees.
You don't measure that 180 degrees. You just assume it by the fact you've got binocular vision. You don't measure
but
that.
you rock.
And let me finish. And a sextant doesn't incorporate a bilateral vision mirror or any form of measurement of 180 your panorama. In fact, your panorama is kind of irrelevant. You want the center of that mirror and the center of those two mirrors. That's what you're bringing together. The left to right action, kind of the thing you set as the level. But when you're using the two mirrors to compare, you're just bringing them together in your ocular vision. You're bringing them together. You're not really, are you? You're not pulling the stars down. You're bringing in the device, and as you bring it down in your vision, you take the reading when you see it level. But there's no left to right measurement. We don't measure that. We don't go, check, we've got 180s left to right, carry on. Nobody does. That's not, you don't do that at port. You don't do it at sea. It's not part of a dip. There's no need for that, is there?
Yeah, but I think the point is it's 180 degrees is required to even begin that.
Have you got 180 degrees vision? Really? Have you?
No, but it's required because to even begin that process, you must pre-assume that the water that basically underneath your boat there's a 180 degree line.
There's the 360 all the way around. Depends. But I'm not availed to 180 of that at any one point. I'm not a deer, am I? I've got binocular vision. Yeah, not an alligator or anything. I've not got 180. I'm not a rabbit. Yeah, I've not got that vision. I don't reference 180 degrees. I'm confused why it's there. Why it's a number that matters.
We're talking about zero elevation, isn't it? And you rock the sextant to keep that horizontal in place at 90 degrees to the celestial.
Yeah, the amount of horizontal I can see, whether I can see 120 degrees, 130 degrees, doesn't matter, does it? What I'm doing is I'm attaining the level, aren't I? I'm making sure the device and the reference I'm going to make, i.e. the elevation I'm going to take, is as accurate as I can to the thing I'm going to reference it to, i.e. the surface, the thing I'm going to then navigate. That's the purpose of rocking, isn't it? To make sure, yeah, I'm correct. I'm at sea.
On the tangent plane thing, I would like to say whether you're going to assert that you have a pointed tangency at the horizon from your eye level, which must be a horizontal plane, or you're asserting that ground level, as labeled in the mathematics, is a horizontal plane and there's a pointed tangency below it. Level whether it be surface level or eye level, is still a horizontal plane.
Yep. North, south, east, and west also are horizontal planes.
And they're cardinal directions.
Yeah, but they are vector specific, aren't they? When you say you're moving, let's say 20 degrees north or south southeast, that's a horizontal vector.
Yes.
It must be, because the equatorial plane is calibrated as such, so it must be.
I agree with you here. I know the point you're making. Carry on. Elaborate on it, George. I get what you're saying.
If you're going to refer to a equatorial plane like the celestial sphere or a mount, anything, you need to calibrate it with the cardinals, north, south, east, and west. They need to be horizontal vectors.
Those vectors are commensurate with each other. They're overlayable, aren't they? We're not having to.
Well, it's the description of the Cartesian system, isn't it? Yeah. Longitude, latitude. Also, north, south, east, and west would be the same thing.
But north as a vector described in the X, Y, Z will vary only in two of those points as I move north or south on a flat plane. Yeah, if I move in direction, but it's got to go all three on a ball. It's to reorientate north, because that's what it is. That's the miss when you're talking about mapping. That's the mismap overlay. That's why people say, "Oh, why do I have to hold it flat?" The compass, because actually, you know, the field isn't flat. I mean, relatively, they'll argue it's flat, and can negate that. But actually, you're going to overlay the two grid systems of north, south, east, west, yeah, and how that matches perfectly with a Cartesian Polaris based system. That doesn't make sense, but it does. So that's the mismatch. Is that what you're alluding to?
Yeah, and also for the gyro, for example, if you have a gyro, the caging of the gyro needs to be calibrated again, north, south, east, and west.
Gyro compass is, yeah.
Yeah. It must refer to a horizontal plane of reference from the beginning.
Why? This is what the gyro compass is interesting, because as far as I can see, the purpose of a gyro compass is to take away all of the external factors of confusion, even including magnetic, so that you can generate a bearing, right? Because if you keep going at sea and check north, south, east, and west, you end up going in great circles. You end up keep turning. And what was west 100 miles away is no longer west now. It's not the same bearing. The purpose of a gyro compass, irrespective of north, south, east, and west, is to maintain the bearing. Yeah, that straight line.
The purpose of a gyro is to keep a fixed plane of reference.
A gyro compass, not a gyro.
Right. And a gyro compass would be a fixed plane of reference with respect to the Earth.
Yeah, correct.
Rob Durham got one, and was trying to analyze what the hell it's doing, why it's taking magnetic references to keep maintaining its bearing, why it's using that, and how it's able to check what that means. Because it isn't a mapping reference. There's something he got it, you know, to check the software. I've never heard anything of it, because I don't think anybody's figured it out. But it was what does how and why. Whoa. Huey's gone.
I'm
He's gone
sorry.
for
No,
banana.
I was saying,
Yeah,
shut
super
up,
fluid,
shut up, shutting up,
supermodel,
shut up, shutting
super
up,
orange,
shut
super
up, shutting
banana.
up, shut up. I was on
Okay.
mute. I was saying super tramp, supermodel, super fluid, but I looked down, it was red. Go ahead.
Roger Lidwell said, "This has been the best ball busters ever."
I don't think so, but OMG.
This is no ballbusters. This is QE Live.
Gary Wybanga, here is the last volley. You're not going to believe this. If you think you're so good at this, why don't you or QE take up McToon's $10,000 challenge? You can't make this fucking shit up.
Well, what I said to McToon on that when McToon came towards me with it, I said, why don't you prove the globe with it, McToon? And he disappeared. After 3 weeks of it being pumped out to everyone and everywhere, he came to me eventually, and I said, why don't you prove the globe with it if it proves the globe? He disappeared, and he shut up about it. You never hear him talking about it anymore, coming over to any my channel or anyone else's channel, because he knows that he can't do it. So tell Gary, you go, and you and McToon prove your globe with it.
Well, I mean,
problem solved.
I want to say something. These guys, these McDoons and Matthew Learns, they are fucking ignorant. You know, we have Portuguese navigators that did celestial navigation according to flat Earth, so they can kiss their asses.
Damn, Miguel, you came in hot. This is a family show.
Yeah, this is a family show.
Yeah, but I agree with his sentiment. It is nonsense.
I did ask. Sorry, I just want to finish. I did ask to Gary, that guy, to debunk navigation at sea, a matter of triangles, and he didn't answer that. He did talk about that McToon shit.
Damn, Gary's just, Betty, isn't it quite appalling to hear swear words in Portuguese?
They're in English, the swear words.
Yeah, they are.
Yeah, with
the Portuguese man is saying.
Yes, but with the Portuguese twist.
Yeah.
Okay. Little peri-peri.
Adam, you had some questions about the gyro compass. What were they? I know about that.
What does it do?
You know about that.
Yep.
What do you mean you know about that? I was tearing up ball tards. I got more time in a chow line.
I'm just talking about the original workings of it and stuff like that.
It's not a big secret on how it works. They spin up the gyros and they pull out their magnetic compass and they point it to north, and then if it's magnetic to grid, M to G, they add the magnetic declination. So M to G, you add it, you add that many degrees, and then you point your friggin' gyro compass right there. Simple as that.
So, yes, and of course I know that. And what I'm saying, this corrects digitally for all of the things that are the bullshittery and hiddenness that enable you to have the maps that you can see as a Mercator that you can then wrap around a ball. It compensates for all these things because it sets a bearing on the flat Earth, reference to polar north. How and what it does inside, what people are asking, what is it referencing? How does it convert? There has to be.
Super chat,
Oh,
super
you
fluid,
bugger.
super model, super done.
Super sod.
Super sod.
Oh my gosh, Adam, I had to. It was going to be so funny. Roger Ledwell sent QE Live, my bad.
Adam, please get to your. Can you get to your point like concisely?
Probably not. That's not me.
Probably
You see, Betty knows. Betty knows. What
No,
a silly
Betty-
question, QE.
Betty
That's
come-
more retarded than that idiot that's just been on.
Betty
the
come
last
right out
time.
the gate and said, "Nope."
And I'm with her.
Wait, you still have Brian because he's fuming back there because he hasn't got his shot at the title for the gyro compass. Wait till he gets in there. What's your point, Adam?
How does it? What is a gyro compass doing? Right. If we agree that none of the maps are right, and we look at McToon's challenge, yeah, what is it? A gyro compass knows it's setting a bearing and it's adjusting. Yeah, whatever.
Well, it's not adjusting itself.
It's not adjusting shit. Gyro compass doesn't know shit either.
No.
Adam, I don't know what you're talking about.
In terms of the feedback it gives, right, to the positional system we then plot it onto, that's the issue of what's going off inside. Okay? Because you've got translational systems. And
what the hell are you on about, Adam?
I don't know. I mean, he's on about some software that they have in the new gyros. I mean, that's some software nonsense they try to maybe install in the new gyros, but you have to go back to the start.
I'm talking about chronometers. I'm talking about magnetic declination. I'm talking about how you incorporate all these things, yeah, and how that changes your position and how that's shown to you as a position on a ball. This is what I'm talking about.
It's not. That's the point. It's not shown as a position on the board.
No, and how these Okay, carry on.
Betty's laughing. Listen. The gyro compass is just basically used so when you're on rough seas and waves and stuff, it's throwing you all about that you keep your bearing, right? And if it's a real long trip, the magnetic declination changes. You got to make those corrections. That's all it's used for. What else are we going to talk about the gyro compass for? Anything?
Talk about McToon's challenge.
Yeah, that's what I'm linking the two too.
McBugger Eater's challenge. Well, they must deny the very existence of a sextance to begin with because it measures elevation angles. And elevation angles are right angle triangles. And you can't have any curved adjacent, so it's over before it begins.
Right. I was going to say his challenge breaks down to prove these elevation angles that can only exist with respect to a flat plane come from a flat plane.
Yes.
It's stupid.
But Brian, he wants to get into the nitty-gritty of this gyro compass. Go ahead, Brian.
I just don't know what Adam's worried. What Adam said, I don't know how it does that. And I'm asking him, what is it you don't know about? And he's talked about software. It's like software. Well, software can be programmed to do whatever it needs to do. But that's not the workings of the gyro compass. Okay. I don't know what Adam's question is.
I don't know either. Adam, stand up for yourself. My God, man.
And we're not going to get hit with a super chat or anything, are we?
Of course.
Well, we can only hope.
We can only hope. My point is, it's translational. So we've got different grid systems that are translational, and the uniqueness of a gyro compass is that it doesn't reference north. It sets a bearing, and it's using something. Yet it will still feed back to you a globular coordinate system. Now, why did that come up? Because that's what McToon's challenge relates to.
It can.
It's not a globular coordinate system. Hold on a second. First of all, it's not a globular coordinate system. Second of all, it's pointing to grid north because all the maps are set up to grid north. That's what it's doing.
Okay, so
Paulo?
This is why we can't answer McToon's challenge. Because the system that it's plotted on, the resolution, the answer, has been done like this. From the 1700s, these things have been incorporated. The grids have been refined to incorporate all of these things.
Let me ask you
so that the way the ultimate grid is resolved is on a ball. Now you can back work, and we can do celestial navigation. You've got old charts that you can do these things, but this is why you can't answer McToon's challenge. I can do it. I can do his challenge like that, right? But I have to use globular coordinate systems because they're the only ones that are available to resolve the problems in 2024.
What?
No, it's in a ball. Not. You keep saying on a ball. It's in a ball, Adam. It's the coordinate system you're talking about is from the inside of a ball, not on a ball.
It's projected out to the ball, and all that's left is that outer bit. And the inner bits have been hidden, and the twisting's been hidden, and the overlay of the system. So if you look at, Brian will talk about this maybe. What's his name? Old Hervey, the sailor. If he talks about what's happening out at sea, how magnetic declination makes such a difference, how it repositions things. All of these things twist and move, reposition and reorientate you. So all of these systems put together is what builds a ball and what holds how they put it into GPS. You can zoom out because they've got these over. And this is the point where I admit defeat to McToon because I can't, because I haven't got the extra constructs. All I've got at the end result to deal with is ball coordinates.
I thought I
spent
just
a long time getting rid of it.
Shit, man! Did somebody replace Adam with some other numpty or something?
Yeah, I don't know what's going on here. Adam is not thinking straight. Adam, what is going on with you?
Betty's having a good time with it. Okay, listen, guys, we're gonna stop because I'm smelling spaghetti. All right.
No.
Yeah.
Smell all you like. I don't care. You know, you're not getting one. If you cut, what did the Rock say? Yeah.
Betty.
Don't smell what I'm cooking, baby. Yeah. That's fine. Right. You can ridicule if you wish.
I'm gonna sick Betty on you.
Brian, that's fine. You'll be eating humble pie. I'll be sending you a fish pie in the post soon, Betty.
A fish pie, that's gonna smell when it arrives.
It will do.
I
won't have it refrigerated.
I can send her the one you sent to me because that's still not.
Well, do it, Brian. Do it, Brian.
All right, guys. Let's. It was a fun show. We stayed quite a long time today. Keep it, like I said, still keep a weathered eye out and a weathered ear out for the next treatment.
No, I'm not done.
I'm going to tell you what, Adam.
I've got one more. No, only one more thing. Because I didn't interrupt Brian once. So I've got 14 more interrupts. So 13 more.
Wow.
Right? Now, this is the point of why I keep saying I can't do time bandits, guys. Yeah.
Oh, my goodness.
So, that was it.
Was that it?
Yeah. Do you see how it's like a proper overlaying of systems?
Well, I can do my version, which proves the flat.
You better make no. We're leaving.
I'm not trying to prove a flat plane.
I'm not saying that I'm going to do it
now.
I'm not saying that's what I was trying to do.
Betty, Nathan's trying to get you to shout something out.
I need to shout out Nathan?
You need to shout something out. He said, shout me out, Betty. I pinned it, so I think that should be
great
good.
shout out to Nathan Oakley that finally found out that God answers prayers.
Look at you. Oh, you know why I think Danny 57 was in here? Because of the thing I played earlier?
He might take a peek sometimes.
No, I played Danny's train wreck acceleration. I forgot about that. That was the lead off tape. That I'm going to play it, as we're going out. So is that just ironical, coincidental?
Well, no, maybe you it's sort of a his key thing to come out the woodworks, right?
Yeah, but he came out during this woodworks.
Yeah, well, he might be following him, be a diligent viewer of this show, right?
Take us home, Betty.
Oh, we keep
Shut Adam up.
Why have we got to go home? I don't want to go home.
Jesus.
Keep working wood.
It's freaking midnight here. We need to stop this.
Hey, we'll just work a little bit more wood. Enjoying it. Just because you think I've gone off the scales and gone lunatic.
I'm gone lunatic.
Just Tweety
That's
Bird. You've gone Tweety
That's
Bird, and I'm ending it
see-
because I'm hungry. So I ended it. How about that? I just took charge. I like doing that. So, like I said, keep an eye out. Whether you're out for the treatment at some point this week, I don't know what day yet. There's a lot of ifs, ands, and what have yous this week for me. There's no Ballbusters Saturday because we just had a Ballbusters last Saturday. So I hope you enjoyed the show, and I'll catch you on the flip side. QE out.
Yeah, somebody just posted the vestibular system on the chat here, a live stream. But the vestibular system doesn't detect motion. That was something I was taught growing up, that it detects motion. It doesn't. It detects acceleration. Big difference. And we are able to detect acceleration pretty easily. We're not very good at detecting velocity. All we can do with velocity is measure that relative motion with respect to something else.
Oh, yeah. Well then, doofus Danny, the dipshit astronomer, since the Earth in your ball-tard spinning space monkey religion is rotating, hence has an angular velocity, ergo the Earth is constantly accelerating, and
we are able to detect acceleration pretty easily.
Can you please explain to us why we can't detect it easily? Por favor?
You are so dumb. Damn.